Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Welcome to this morning live forum. I'm Zoltai, the coordinator for SPCAM Communication Unit. We'll be your MC for today. We are honored to welcome Brother J. Solomon, our SPCAM President, Tuan Sheikh Shahir Sheikh Mohammed, former President of NTUC, former Senator of the Senate, Chairman of the Selangor Institute of Workers Empowerment, Puan Balkis Yusof, Head of Strategy Management Department EPF, Encik Ibil Sashwan from the for the Rakyat Policy Advocates, Puan Boli Kun, Senior Researcher, Analysis Survey Information from the Malaysians Employer Federations, our SPCAM leaders, participants, distinguished guests, panel speakers, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the 2023 SPCAM Forum with the theme, Are Malaysians Able to Live a Decent Life After Retirement? Mencari timba si anak dara di bawah salam burung tempur. Salam sembah pembuka bicara. Selamat datang untuk semua. Thank you for being here with us this morning. Before we start our forum this morning, let me give a little introduction about SPCAM and the forum that will be held this morning. For everyone's information, our SPCAM office is located on the ground floor of this NUBE building. This office provides advisory assistance for all groups of workers, including migrant workers, employers, and the business community in Malaysia. Among our roles are employment laws counseling, dismissals and labour issues, how to join existing union or form new union, help required for migrant workers on all aspects, advisory assistance for SOCSO and EPF contributors, and training on employment laws. Starting from January 2023 until June 2023, the SPCAM office handled a total of 153 cases reported from local workers, migrant workers, and SPCAM members themselves. Among the complaints received are the issues of unfair dismissals, issues including SOCSO and EPF unpaid wages, employment contract issues, and passport issues for migrant workers. We also represent our members in the Industrial Relations Department and the Labour Department for any disputes that occur with employers. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Deputy President of SPCAM, Brother Nadarajan, who also helped in resolving the cases together. In addition, I would like to introduce Brother Sivataran, who also assists the SPCAM office in banking matters. Among his roles are provide advisory assistance on banking services, such as account opening, like savings account and current account, remittances, all loan applications, banking scam victims, or banking transactions. In line with our SPCAM's objective, which is to conduct programs and exposure to the community in general, and to its members specifically, this forum today is suitable to be held in order to achieve the objective of SPCAM. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let us begin this auspicious ceremony by calling upon Brother J. Solomon, the President of SPCAM, to deliver his welcome address. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Brother Zul. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. Are you all there? Yes. Okay, good. Everybody seems to be very silent. Okay, good morning and welcome to SPCAM's first National Social Protection Forum. On behalf of the EXCO of SPCAM, I extend a warm and fraternal welcome and appreciation to each and every one of you taking the time to join us, especially today is a working day. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed moderator, Mr. Bakran, and the distinguished speakers who have graciously agreed to share their invaluable insights on the topic, which is, are Malaysians able to live a decent life after retirement? I do not want to introduce the speakers here because I'll give that privilege to Mr. Bakran. But however, I want to place on record our appreciation to Mr. Anthony De Angelis, who has come all the way from San Francisco. And he's quite known to many Malaysians as he has been making numerous press statements in the last 2 years. And these individuals are experts in their respective fields, and their contributions will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of this critical issue. Before we proceed, allow me to provide a brief introduction to the Social Protection Contributors Advisory Association in Malaysia, more commonly known as SPCAM, for those who may not be familiar with our organizations. SPCAM was founded in 2021. This SPCAM organization is founded by dedicated trade union leaders from 5 unions. They are NUEE, NUDIW, Johor Textile, Electronic Workers Union, and Cement Union. These leaders recognize the need to assist their members and the general public in ensuring social protection, especially since trade unions are restricted from venturing beyond workers' issues. I want to reinforce here that we are not setting up another labor sector. Please, I want to correct that exception if anybody has. The only labor sector, and all the unions recognize, is MTUC and of course UNI MLC, and we are merely complementing the roles of NTUC and UNI MLC because there are 50 million workers out there, and that's the role that SPCAM is playing. The ILO's World Social Protection Report of 2020-2022 defines social protection as a set of policies and programs designed to reduce and prevent poverty, vulnerability, and social exclusion throughout the life cycle. Therefore, SPCAM extends its assistance and protection to workers in the private, public, statutory, informal, and foreign workers, as well as employers and the general public. I take this opportunity to record SPCAM's appreciation to NUE for its pivotal role in supporting SPCAM, including giving us access to have this forum in this hall. I would also like to acknowledge the various directors and advisors in the SPCAM who are specialized in their respective fields such as laws, economies, international labor, and communication. The objectives of SPCAM encompasses a wide range of crucial initiatives, including members' assistance, organizing for a better voice together, create awareness, representation, supporting good government initiatives, collaborations with like-minded organizations, and taking comprehensive actions for social protection. At present, we are proud to offer 2 essential services to our members and the general public. Firstly, we provide comprehensive assistance related to employment matters, union formation, migrant workers, and advisory support on EPF and SOCSO. Second, we offer advisory assistance on banking services, helping members and the public with account openings, remittance, loan applications, handling the increased banking scams, and addressing any difficulties they may face in their banking transactions. These are managed by retired bank managers who have vast knowledge for the banking transactions. It is an unfortunate reality that the majority of Malaysians do not possess sufficient savings to sustain themselves as they age or after retirement. The COVID-19 pandemic has further worsened the situation, as many Malaysian workers had no choice but to withdraw funds from the EPF accounts when the government opened the floodgates. Regrettably, the previous governments failed to provide the necessary support for aged Malaysians to lead dignified lives from the government coffers. Even post-pandemic, no significant efforts have been made to rectify this issue. We don't seem to be learning from our past mistakes, as the past politicians in power remain focused on their political positions rather than the well-being of the people they serve. While this may be a common occurrence in some countries, some nations do prioritize the welfare of their citizens regardless of their political shifts. In this country, civil servants focus in protecting the interests of the public rather than the interests of the political masters. Unfortunately in Malaysia, on the contrary, every decision seems to be politically motivated. We see a ray of hope in some changes from the unity government. We must also acknowledge that the vast majority of the general public is complicit in this cycle, as they often fail to learn from their mistakes by blindly supporting politicians who prioritize self-interest, even at the expense of the nation's well-being. SPCAM hopes that the current unity government will prioritize the needs of the voters and regain the trust of the people by providing dignified social protection for all, including the elderly. We hope the unity government will ensure social protection is not seen as an expenditure, but rather an investment in human dignity and social justice. Under the leadership of Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar, SPCAM encourages all capable Malaysians to contribute constructively to the well-being of our society. It is essential to recognize that as citizens, we bear the ultimate responsibility for the quality of our government. For the rakyat in Malaysia, we must pay attention to every stage of the life, ensuring that from the moment a child is born, they are provided with a dignified life with education until they leave this world. SPCAM has taken the initiative to organize this forum as a small step towards creating awareness among Malaysians. Together, we can work towards guaranteeing that every Malaysian can live a decent life after retirement. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for attending this forum. Our sincere thanks go out to everyone who has made this event possible, specifically to our Communication Director, that is Mr. Zoltan. Let us now sit back and listen attentively as our distinguished speakers take us on a journey through their views and opinions on the topic at hand. We hope together valuable insights and return to our respective roles with renewed determination to promote the well-being of all Malaysians. Social protection cannot be seen as an expenditure. As a reminder to all of us that we must have this come in our mind that it is an investment in human dignity and social justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your welcome address and opening remarks. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, now without further ado, we'd like to invite Yang Bahagia Tuan Sheikh Shahir Sheikh Mahmud former NTUC President, former Senator of the Senate and Chairman of the Selangor Institute of Workers' Empowerment to deliver his keynote address. Please welcome Yang Bahagia Tuan Sheikh Selangor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Para pemimpin SP KAM, ya. Saya ada sebut dengan saudara Solomon dulu, kena jaga-jaga sebutan ini. Jadi kalau tak ada fee dia jadi scam, bahaya. Pemimpin-pemimpin persatuan, analis yang dihormati, saudara-saudari yang saya muliakan. Pertamanya saya terima kasih kepada pemimpin SPKAM yang menjemput saya. Ini kali kedua saya datang dalam program yang berasingan. Tahun lalu itu adalah perasmian, tahun ini forum. Dan menarik juga bila mendengar ucapan saudara Solomon tadi bahawa ada perkembangan yang telah dilakukan oleh SPKAM sepanjang tempoh 1 tahun lebih. Itu bagus. Saudara maklum bahawa jangka hayat penduduk atau rakyat di Malaysia ini meningkat. Tahun 50, jangka hayat atau life expectancy sekitar 50 tahun lebih sikit. Tahun 2023 sekarang sudah 75 tahun. Dan yang lebih menarik lagi ialah orang perempuan jauh lebih tua daripada orang laki-laki. Artinya orang lelaki mati dulu, orang perempuan masih ada lagi. Di setengah tempat orang perempuan sampai 80 tahun jangka hayat dia. Apa poin saya sebenarnya mengenai hal ini? Retirement age satu hal, retirement benefit satu hal lagi. Ini dua perkara yang mustahil. Dulu dalam 15 tahun yang lepas, retirement age itu ialah 55 tahun. Saya masih ingat waktu berada di NTUC, ada kerjasama dengan EWSP waktu itu. Saya masih ingat timbalan Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Datuk Rosmah Ibrahim. Kami siapkan satu kertas dan kemukakan kepada pemerintah supaya dinaikkan usia daripada 55 ke 60 pada waktu itu. Oh, sudah tentu penentangan banyak. Satu peristiwa yang menarik dalam suatu jamuan makan malam yang dihadiri oleh 90% daripada yang hadir itu perempuan, hanya 10% laki-laki termasuk yang bekerja di hotel. Dalam ucapan saya menyebut bahawa kita minta supaya usia 55 itu dinaikkan kepada 60. Mind you, the whole participant quiet. Nobody clap, nobody say anything. Jadi saya pun pelik, kenapa ni? 90% perempuan, bila saya sebut dinaikkan daripada 55-60, saya mengharapkan ada tepukan yang bergemuruh. Tak ada. Very quiet. Jadi saya matikan hal itu, saya pindah ke hal lain. Jadi kalau saya teruskan ini, mungkin lagi marah mereka. Jadi saya diam. Rupa-rupanya apabila saya turun dan bertanya, mengapa bila saya sebut 60, tak ada siapa yang respon? Ada yang menjawab, we are tired of looking at a piece of diversity. Yang hadir itu semua jururawat sebenarnya. Jadi 90% jururawat di sini perempuan. We are tired of looking at that. Jadi dia nak habiskan 55. Tetapi yang penting ialah 55 tahun itu ditetapkan oleh pemerintah Inggris sewaktu mengambil kira tahun 50 usia ataupun life expectancy sekitar 50 tahun atau 55 tahun. Tetapi dalam tempoh 70 tahun, sekarang sudah 74,6 atau 75 umur jangka hayat umur rakyat di negara ini. Perkara kedua, saudara-saudara sekalian, ialah mengenai retirement benefit. Saya mengelak daripada menggunakan perkataan bersara atau persaraan. Retirement is not necessarily persaraan. Sebab dari kata dasar sara. Kalau sara maknanya kalau saya tidak kerja dengan government, dengan sektor awam, siapa nak sara saya? Saya sendiri. Maknanya penyaraan itu adalah dari diri saya sendiri. Jadi konsep persaraan ini harus jelas. Isunya ialah bagaimana yang disebut oleh Saudara Solomon tadi. Dalam beberapa bulan yang lepas, gempa di Malaysia ini, supaya dibenarkan penjarum KWSP untuk mengeluarkan simpanannya. Ini satu kerja yang sangat bahaya kalau tidak pun gila. Tapi kalau kita sebut tak boleh, kita jadi tak popular. Ada yang tak sampai, katalah dia tamat tempoh khidmatan pada usia 60 tahun, tak sampai 5 tahun, duit simpanan dia habis. Kemana dia nak pergi? Inilah yang perlu kita fikirkan. Kita berbeza dengan negara lain. Kalau kita berada di Norway misalnya, itu lain. Di Norway dengan penduduk sekitar 5.4-5.5 juta, dia boleh ada satu skim pension di mana setiap orang sana boleh ada 1 juta. Duit kita lah, lebih kurang 1 juta. Cukuplah untuk sampai mati, kan? Tapi kalau kita di sini, katalah habis 60 tahun, tamat tempoh perkhidmatan, life expectancy 74-75, ada 15 tahun. 15 tahun, katalah 1 bulan 2,000, setahun 24,000, 10 tahun 240,000, kita perlu pada 365,000 sebelum kita mati. Bukan sikit. It's a big amount. Itu mengambil kira kalau barang tak naik harga. Inflation rate artinya pada kadar yang begitu. Tapi kalau naik jadi kacau lagi. Dan saudara sekalian, maka oleh sebab itu saya fikir kita pada hari ini kena melontarkan, membuat cadangan-cadangan, saranan-saranan supaya pemerintah yang ada ini, the present government, kita manfaatkan. Di mana yang disebut oleh Saudara Solomon tadi, bahawa kena manfaatkan ini. Dalam konsep mereka keterbukaan itu, kita masuk. Jangan kita kritik, boleh kritik, tak masalah. Boleh tegur, tak masalah. Tetapi datang dengan sarana, idea, cadangan-cadangan yang baik. Belajar dari pengalaman tempat lain. Bagaimana misalnya orang Jerman membawa isu ini dan menyelesaikan isu ini. Orang di Skandinavia misalnya. Kita belajar dari pengalaman tersebut supaya pemerintah yang ada ini ada dasar yang jelas untuk membantu rakan-rakan kita yang akan hidup lagi mungkin sepanjang 15-20 tahun yang akan datang. Jangan main-main, di Malaysia ada orang sampai 98 tahun masih aktif. Masih lagi boleh menimbulkan banyak masalah. Jadi maknanya kita tak payah sampai macam itulah. Yang penting bagi orang seperti kami ialah kita hidup tidak menyusahkan yang lain. Itu penting. We do not create unnecessary problem to others. Itu saja. Saya sangat minta dan berdoa supaya hidup saya tidak menyusahkan orang lain, termasuk keluarga saya. Maknanya kalau saya sampai masa, saya biar to go, okay, I'll go, dengan tidak menyusahkan yang lain. Sebab kita tengok kadang-kadang keluarga berkelahi, keluarga bergaduh kerana mau jaga ibu bapa dia. Jadi dengan demikian, saya sangat berharap pada hari ini ada cadangan-cadangan yang baik, terutama oleh kawan-kawan yang sudah berpengalaman banyak. Kawan lama saya sudah pakaian, veteran jurnalis, Kenny, Anthony, dan juga berpengalaman banyak, dan juga panelis yang lain yang mempunyai buah pikiran. Saya harapkan lagi pada persembahan mereka, pada presentation mereka akan membawa isu-isu ini dengan cadangan-cadangan, dan jadikan cadangan ini nanti dibawa oleh SPKAM. Dan kalau boleh, SPKAM mengadakan dialog dengan kementerian yang berkenaan. Apa kementerian kita tak tahulah. Dan kalau boleh misalnya dengan Prime Minister. Sebab kalau kita lihat daripada track record dia, beliau sanggup berjumpa dengan siapapun. Dan ini satu hal yang saya fikir kita kena ambil kesempatan untuk membolehkan rakyat mendapat manfaat daripada apa yang mereka telah sokong dan berikan dukungan kepada pemerintah ini. Itu saja yang saya nak sampaikan kepada saudara-saudara sekalian, dan saya berharap SPKAM akan terus maju. Oh, jangan pandang sana, muka saya tak ada sana. Nama tak ada, muka pun tak ada. Tak apalah, itu tak penting. Yang penting akhirnya saya hadir dan bersama dengan saudara-saudara sekalian. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Yang Bahagia Tuan Syed Sahir, for your keynote address. It is such a very interesting elaborations and of the matter, and we hope this keynote address provide us additional insightful knowledge and we'll be able to understand on how should we prepare ourselves before our retirement. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have come to our main event for today. It is therefore our honor, privilege and great pleasure to invite Mr. Pakran Krishnan, our moderator, to proceed with our forum. Let's welcome Mr. Pakran Krishnan.
Very good morning to all of you present here today. On site, not that the picture is not there, but everyone knows you very well. Let me start by saying that this forum organized by SPKAM, in short, is very timely indeed. This is because it is none other than the EPF, which is our old age retirement fund manager, has rang the alarm bells on the faltering old age security in Malaysia. It has openly said that social security for retired Malaysians has reached a critical juncture. Hence, today's discussions are of paramount importance for the future of retired Malaysians. With that, let me introduce our distinguished speakers for today. Our first speaker will be Mr. Anthony DeAngelis. As you know, he's SPKAM's International Labour Advisor. Mr. Anthony has more than 2 decades of experience in human resources management, specializing in employee and labour relations. A native of Malaysia, he has worked and lived in few different countries and currently resides in California, United States, where he's a global head of employee relations for the International Rescue Committee. Anthony has involved himself in advocating for the rights of the underprivileged and underserved over the last 30 years, focusing on labour issues. I would like to invite Mr. Anthony to come forward and take his seat. Our second speaker is Dr. Zuhair Rosli. He is SPCAM's Director of Social Economics. His talk will be on economic implications of sustaining an aging population. Dr. Zuhair is the Director of the Social Economic Unit at SPCAM. He has extensive research experience in the fields of social protection, inclusive development, and macroeconomics. Dr. Zuhair holds a PhD in economics from the International Islamic University of Malaysia after obtaining a master's and bachelor's degree in economics from the same institution. Dr. Zuhair. Our third speaker will be, which many of you will be waiting to hear from, Puan Balkis Yusof, who is the head of EPF Strategy Management Department. Today, she will enlighten us on the role of the EPF in ensuring adequate savings for workers to enjoy a decent post-retirement life. Puan Balkis holds a Master's of Business Administration degree from Durham University in the United Kingdom and a Bachelor's of Arts degree in International Relations and Economics from the University of Wisconsin in the US. Balkis has more than 20 years of experience spanning various industries encompassing banking, public services, and consultancy. For Balkis. Our fourth speaker for today will be Encik Emir Shazwan, the policy advocate, the Rakyat. He will speak on youth employment and the changing world of work. How would the younger generation work towards building savings for their retirement? Encik Emir brings with him a diverse skill set and unique perspective to policy advocacy. With a background as a commodities and index future trader, his multidisciplinary expertise spans various fields and industries. Encik Emir holds an LLB degree from the University of Kent, United Kingdom, and a Master's of Arts in Visual Anthropology from the University of London. It's with pleasure I invite Encik Emir to come forward. And last but never the least, we have Sister A. Karuna, who is the Secretary General of SPCAM. She will give us her thoughts on whether women in the workforce are set up to retire and live a decent life. Karuna has 32 years of experience in the trade union movement. She leads news, industrial relations, trade union research, training, organizing, and recruitment, as well as the social media team involved. She holds a diploma in industrial relations and is passionate about human rights and social justice. Karuna. Ladies and gentlemen, before I call upon the first speaker, I wish to inform you that the panelists will each speak for about 10 to 15 minutes. And please keep your questions for the end of the session after all 5 speakers have delivered their papers. Thank you. With this, I call upon Mr. Anthony to kick off.
Very good morning, Mr. J. Solomon, President and Speaker, who is also the General Secretary of the National Union of Bank Employees. Mike Said, former President and UC ex-Senator, very old and dear friend of mine. Mr. Bhaskar Krishnan, who is a veteran journalist and also the moderator for today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to be back in Malaysia. Not been back for 6 years. Look forward to the session today. Just by way of background, in terms of really, I suppose, why we are here and how this has come about, Now, in April of this year, on behalf of SPCAM, I made a proposal to increase the retirement age in Malaysia to 65 years. Now, this drew many comments. Some were in support of it and some opposed it. It's not necessarily a bad thing when people oppose something. One thing that has really been evident is this, that since the government of Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has come to power, there's an increased democratic space where ideas, suggestions of this nature can or is being more openly discussed. And this is something that will benefit the country in the longer run. The other thing before I delve into really the merits of the matter here today is that I'll be citing some international examples, but when we look at examples from different countries, we should be careful. It's not about citing something and then saying it should apply here. We should look at things in totality and ask ourselves, what works for Malaysia, what works for Malaysians? So I just want to enter the caveat before I progress on. I'll move on. Just by way of background, earlier this year, EPF made a statement where it was stated that 51.5% of EPF members below 55 years of age have less than 10,000 ringgit in savings. To start with, I'd like to commend EPF for their transparency and honesty. Many government agencies would have hit those type of figures. So that certainly had set alarm bells running, because it simply means that that number of people cannot afford to retire. Now, if you look at the numbers itself, and year on year, it has increased by 9.7%. So if you look at 2023, when the figure was actually communicated, and you compare the previous year, the numbers of people who are below 10,000 ringgit in saving has increased by 9.7%. Now, the other point to be made here is that when we talk about EPF's threshold in terms of sufficiency of savings, it is at, when it's translated, it amounts to 1,000 ringgit a month. Now, the question I have here is that, can anyone here survive on 1,000 ringgit a month? Whether you're working or retired. When we talk about retirement, it's associated with many things. One of the things that need to be recognized is that Malaysia is at present suffering from an acute cost of living crisis. It's not Malaysia alone, it's a global phenomenon. So we have an inflation problem, and today the real issues for inflation are, firstly, there's a supply chain crisis caused by the COVID pandemic that has increased the price of goods and services. It has been exacerbated by the Ukraine-Russia war. The good thing here in Malaysia is that the government, the new government that is openly acknowledging that there is a cost of living crisis. And they are working towards putting measures in place to address it. Things such as incentives for the poor, support mechanisms. Who does a cost of living crisis really impact? Really, it is the B40 and the M40 population, not the T20. They probably actually benefit from it. They invest and take more money from it. Now, the other one thing is the measures in terms of cost of living, such as the CPI, do not tell the whole story. I remember this was the late 90s, early 2000s, looking with one side. We actually communicated this a lot when we challenged the CPI indicators in this country, where clearly we have evidence that it does not reflect the cost of living or the cost of living crisis. Now, the Khazanah Research Institute, they have produced some data where what they have revealed is food, non-alcoholic beverages and transport costs take up 2/5 of the B40 income. And yet, only 20% of food imports are in the CPI basket, when Malaysia is a net food importer. So clearly the CPI data is inaccurate and understated. Now, what is the cost of living crisis? What do we mean by cost of living crisis? It's a situation in which the cost of everyday essentials like groceries and bills rises faster than the average household income. If I were to ask all of you here, does anybody here have incomes that are rising faster than the cost of goods and services? If anybody, please put up your hand. We'll all go to you after this for a handout. Now, I'll start with what we should not do. Now, the economic and cost of living crisis faced today, and I'm focusing on Malaysia here, is based on structural economic issues. So it's something very wide. It cannot and should not be addressed by stopgap or ad hoc measures such as EPF withdrawals. I think Tuan Syed mentioned this a while ago in his keynote address. This is something, when the previous government did, is morally reprehensible, unacceptable. How do you solve a problem? By saying you take from your retirement savings because you cannot afford to live for today. Question, how will you then live when you retire? Absolutely, it was a senseless decision. Now, clearly there's going to be an adverse impact in the longer term. So, I'll take a look what SPCAM's proposal is, and we are confining it only to retirement age. Clearly, there are other issues such as low wages in the country that need to be addressed. Firstly, the retirement age be increased from 60 to 65 years. Employees can choose to retire at 60, right, if that's what they want to do. And employees who want to work beyond 60 allowed to do so retire at 65. So basically between 60 to 65 is optional. And very importantly, beyond the age of 60, if an employee would work, they shouldn't be subjected to different terms and conditions of employment. It shouldn't be based in that, if you're healthy, you continue to work. Because that would mean we're discriminating against the aging population in the country. What is our basis for proposal? I've actually set out a paper, so if anyone's interested, you can read that in more detail, but I'll just take you through a few of the salient points. Now, the first, life expectancy. In the paper, I've also spoken about written about the life expectancy globally, but in Malaysia, in 1950, it was 52.8 years. This is according to the UN data. And in 2022, it was 76. It was 76.51. Clearly, it's increasing. I think it was mentioned as well earlier in the keynote address when the retirement age was set then at 55. I remember reading somewhere the life expectancy was 54.5, meaning most people died before they retired. Right? Today, you're living that much longer after you retire. Now, the B40 and M40 cannot sustain themselves for too long after retirement. That's a fact, you know that. And I mentioned earlier about the 1,000 estimated by the EPF. Clearly, the benchmarks for economic sustenance upon retirement is unrealistic and too low. That's something that we need to look at. Now, the aging population should not be discriminated against. There's no reason to discriminate people for age. Now, from a more macro standpoint, where the retired population cannot sustain themselves, this leads to other issues. The younger generation, who themselves are struggling, right, economically, will then be forced to care for their elders. That would inflict a greater financial burden on them, firstly. Secondly, when things do not work out, what happens? The state has to somehow bear the welfare burden. So when you talk of the nation's economy in itself, that's going to be a problem. Now, a data point as well is the UN Agenda 2030 on Sustainable Development. It promotes healthy aging, and we need to change our way of thinking towards the aging population. Now, I've also quoted some examples in my paper. France, for instance, we all know the issues in France recently, the protests. What really happened was they wanted to increase, or they had increased the pension entitlement age from 62 to 64. And people were protesting against it. Now France, just like the UK and many other countries, they don't have an official retirement age. Because it is accepted that if you were to ask somebody to retire at a certain age, you're discriminating against that person on the basis of their age. What they're talking about is the state pension age. Singapore is 63 at this point in time, but they're looking at increasing the retirement age as well. I want to deal with some counterpoints. What are the arguments that people use, right, that we hear against increasing the retirement age? And these are often used by employers. The first, the youth will be denied employment opportunities. Very dangerous argument in my mind. Now, if that argument to hold, are we saying therefore that in order for the young to work, we must push the old out of employment? Right? So we need to think about that if we were to use that argument. Now, the other reality is this. As we have seen in the course of history, any economy, the global economy, it evolves. New industries come up, new jobs created. The jobs that we are doing today will not be done by the younger generation. Why? Because there will be new industries. Some examples, the tech industry, gig working. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, were there those industries with those type of jobs? The answer is no. And I kind of included a quote by Mark Twain, history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Now the second point is, which is often included, increased cost to business. This is the argument that has damaged global society since the 1980s. I say why the 1980s is because the neoliberal order, as practiced by Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, that era, it resulted in workers' rights being diminished, wage levels being depressed, and trade union rights being eviscerated. So that was really the objective of, and still being the objective of the neoliberal order. In this country, we had a very good system, but the first Mahathir administration, the person who lives to 98 years, he was there for 22 years. If you look back, it was during that time that the form of privatization that actually has damaged society was introduced. I'm not against privatization, I'm saying the form of privatization, the form of capitalism that was practiced was actually damaged, had actually damaged Malaysian society. Now, cost of doing business. There is a social cost of doing business. Employers should not be allowed to run away from that social cost. So it's not an excuse when we talk about increasing costs in terms of depriving people of what their rights are. What are some indisputable facts? Malaysians are facing an acute cost of living crisis. Second, many Malaysians cannot retire with financial freedom and live a decent life after retirement. I used to tell you what should the government do, but what should we all do? Firstly, adopt the proposal to increase retirement age to 65 for those who continue to work. Now, that by itself is not going to solve the problem. So we need to play a more active role in instituting various different forms of social protection mechanisms. Right? And let's also remember we need good governance. So Amartya Sen, who is a Nobel Prize winner, and actually said for societies to progress, they need the invisible hand of the free market and the visible hand of good governance. So what has actually been forgotten over the last 20-30 years is the importance of the visible hand of good governance by way of regulations and government interventions. Right? The other thing you should all do, for those of you who are not members of SPCAM, please sign up as members. So that really is my presentation for today, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Anthony has raised a few pertinent points, and one of them is that the global life expectancy for both sexes in Malaysia has risen from 52.8 to 76.5 years. That's when the first mandatory retirement age was at 55. Since then, it has been raised to 58 and then 60 in 2012. He says with the current rate of EPF savings, the retired population cannot sustain themselves with an appropriate degree of economic freedom and, most importantly, dignity if they were to retire at 60. So let me now invite Dr. Zuhair to give us his thoughts on the economic implications of sustaining an aging population.
Salam sejahtera dan selamat pagi Presiden SPCAM, Tuan Solomon, Tuan Syed dan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya hormati sekalian. Dalam masa yang singkat ini, saya kira apa yang saya akan buat ialah saya akan highlight apa implikasi negara dua terhadap ekonomi. Mungkin kita tak apa nampak sangat implikasi dia apa. Dan bagi saya, negara benua ini adalah satu benda yang harus diambil kira dengan serius. Kerana satu sebab saja. It is inevitable. Dia akan datang. Macam-macam. You cannot kill the old people, for example. You have to adapt and kita kena bersedia, terutama sekali bersedia dari sekarang. First, sebelum kita mulakan apa implikasi dia, bagi saya terangkan secara dalam bahasa yang mudah nak faham apa itu negara benua dan kenapa ianya penting. Secara mudahnya, negara benua ni maksudnya orang tua makin ramai dan orang muda makin berkurang. Dalam ekonomi kita akan lebih ramai orang tua. Kenapa? Macam tadi Tuan Syed ada mention, Mr. Anthony also ada mention, sistem kesihatan kita makin bagus dan kita hidup makin panjang. Kenapa ini boleh hidup panjang bagus kan? Tapi kenapa boleh jadi masalah? Kerana satu, struktur ekonomi. Struktur ekonomi kita beroperasi dengan kadar yang murah. Everything nak cheap. Cost of doing business pun nak cheap, investment pun nak murah, bayar gaji pekerja murah, and dah retire saving. Bila retire dengan miskin. Hidup dah panjang, tapi masa retire nanti akan hidup dengan dalam keadaan miskin. Saya dengar tuan saya mention pasal perkataan persaraan, very interesting. So saya akan buat perkataan persaraan, kita akan guna perkataan retirement. Pension mungkin tak kena, sebab pension pun dia dapat duit. Okey, jadi itu sekadar konteks. Kenapa negara benua ini adalah akan jadi dan kita kena bagi perhatian. Okay. Apa implikasi? Tiga implikasi. Nombor satu, bila ramai orang makin ramai orang tua, makin kurang budak-budak. For your information, kalau kita lihat data populasi kan, bilangan budak-budak bawah 5 tahun pada tahun lepas dah berkurangan sebanyak 60,000. Maksudnya tahun lepas budak-budak 5 tahun dah berkurangan sebanyak 60,000. And it is coming. Negara-negara maju yang lain, dia punya population dia dah negatif. Maksudnya lagi ramai orang meninggal, orang hidup lebih lama dan kurang budak yang lahir. Kadang-kadang yang baru lahir itu dah makin kurang. Dan kita tengah melalui perkara itu sebab budak-budak bawah 5 tahun pada tahun lepas dah berkurangan. Kurang ni bukan growth dia, pertumbuhan dia slow berapa tak? Dia dah negatif. Kurang sebanyak. Baik. Apa implikasi dia? Nombor satu, makin ramai orang tua, budak-budak makin kurang, generasi muda makin kurang, pekerja makin kurangan dalam ekonomi. Pekerja ni selalu jabatan perangkaan dia akan define ikut antara umur 15 tahun sehingga 64 tahun. Ini adalah dia panggil penduduk bekerja. Walaupun dia tak kerja tapi dia panggil penduduk bekerja. Dan ini penting untuk nak lihat sama ada satu-satu ekonomi itu ada ke tidak dia punya tenaga buruh untuk nak menggerakkan ekonomi. Dan masalah kita akan datang nanti, jumlah mereka ini akan makin kekurangan. Okay. Kita lihat yang sekarang berlaku 10 tahun lepas, setiap tahun penduduk yang bekerja ni meningkat sebanyak 2%. 10 tahun lepas setiap tahun. Setiap tahun dia meningkat sebanyak 2%. Maksudnya makin tambahan 2%. Tapi kita tengok 10 tahun sebelum tu lagi, growth-nya adalah, peningkatannya adalah lagi tinggi, banyak 3%. So maksudnya 20 tahun yang lalu 3% peningkatannya. Dan bila dia menuju ke sekarang 10 tahun yang recent ni, peningkatan jumlah pekerja itu makin berkurangan. Pekerja makin berkurangan dalam pasaran buruh. Nombor satu. Apa implikasi dia? Tiada orang untuk nak menggerakkan ekonomi. Jadi pertumbuhan ekonomi itu juga akan perlahan. Itu implikasi nombor 2. Nombor 3, yang saya rasa amat penting dan kita kena repair sekarang. Kalau tak repair sekarang, nanti mungkin KWSP akan pening kepala nak fikir macam mana nak solve the problem. Nombor 3 ialah tekanan terhadap perbelanjaan kerajaan. Sebab nanti bila orang dah makin tua, makin ramai orang tua, kita perlukan bantuan sosial yang lebih mantap daripada sekarang. Nombor 1. Nombor 2, perbelanjaan untuk kesihatan. Kita tahu ada masalah dengan perbelanjaan kesihatan kita sekarang. Dan sekarang ini adalah masalah untuk sekarang. Later, lagi 20 tahun, 30 tahun, bila makin ramai orang yang menua, makin ramai yang memerlukan khidmat kesihatan, makin teruklah keadaan ini. Sebab sekarang pun kita dah tak berbelanja dengan betul untuk kesihatan. Kurang underfunded. So bagi saya solusinya kita kena fikir untuk apa kita nak buat pada masa hadapan. Tapi kalau sekarang kita tak betulkan, ianya akan menjadi lebih sukar untuk kita nak selesaikan pada isu ni pada masa hadapan. Satu isu yang amat penting dan saya rasa dari kerajaan pun sudah tahu pasal isu ni, dan mereka sedang cuba untuk menyelesaikan masalah ni. Dan izinkan saya highlight ada 3 cabaran utama bagi saya yang harus diselesaikan, wajib diselesaikan. Nombor 1, macam saya katakan tadi, negara kita beroperasi dengan ekonomi yang kurang. Dalam bahasa Inggeris ni dia panggil low value added. Kalau dalam sektor pembuatan tu, manufacturing, kerjanya is kita combine product, assemble product saja. Tapi kita tak design produk. Negara-negara maju yang lain, diorang mampu untuk design produk instead of assemble. Okay? Kita nak jadi negara yang maju, jadi operasi ekonomi kita haruslah mempunyai nilai yang tinggi. Tapi sebaliknya yang berlaku sekarang. Dan ini juga dinyatakan dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Bukan saya main petik saja, ini dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Dia panggil low quality investment, pelaburan yang tidak berkualiti. Apa kata itu pelaburan yang tidak berkualiti? Pelaburan yang hanya berfokus kepada struktur. Buat mega projek sana, mega projek sini. Struktur-struktur yang kita tak tahu sama ada kita perlukan ataupun tidak. Siapa yang akan gunakan, berapa ramai orang yang akan gunakan. Dalam hutang itu dijamin oleh kerajaan. Jadi apa yang kita perlukan ialah kualiti yang pelaburan yang berkualiti. Apakah itu pelaburan yang berkualiti? Nombor satu, banyakkan pelaburan dalam digital ICT. Nombor dua ialah mesin dan peralatan, bagi machinery and equipment. Kenapa saya highlight investment? Disebabkan kita terlalu fokus kepada pelaburan yang murah, gaji kita sekarang murah. Ini masalah struktur dia. Dan kita selalu cakap soal teleskop simpanan, gambar miskin, macam-macam lah. Solusi dia saya lihat di luar sana banyak macam lebih kepada pekerja itu harus diberi financial education sebagai contoh. Pekerja itu kena pandai jaga duit. Rakyat kena berjimat cermat. Rakyat dah tak ada duit, nak berjimat cermat apa ni? Bagi saya solusi ini bagus, tapi ianya tak sepatutnya dijadikan sebagai satu solusi yang paling penting. Solusi yang paling penting adalah pastikan gaji yang diberi kepada rakyat itu adalah gaji yang adil untuk orang. Jadi saya suka bila lihat slide kedatangan Mr. Anthony tadi, kata perniagaan cakap cost of doing business akan meningkat. Sama juga bila kita cakap pasal gaji minimum ni, tak boleh. Cost of doing business nanti akan meningkat. Kita tak boleh nak berniaga, bankrupt belakang sini meliput. That's not happening. Okay? Dan bila bercakap pasal sama ada perniagaan ini mampu ataupun tidak untuk nak absorb the cost, kita lihat keadaan sekarang. Adakah pekerja dibayar dengan gaji yang adil? Adakah pekerja terima gaji itu berdasarkan dia punya kerja keras dia? Saudara Solomon sudah tahu, Miss Karuna juga sudah tahu, mereka involved dengan pekerja nak negotiate dengan company macam mana nak naikkan gaji pekerja. Mereka ni tidak dibayar dengan adil. Jika kita lihat maklumat statistik pun, produktiviti meningkat. Majikan selalu kata pekerja tak produktif. Tapi sebaliknya bila kita lihat data secara keseluruhan dan setiap sektor pun produktiviti itu meningkat. Tapi gaji pekerja itu tak meningkat sebanyak seperti produktiviti. Dia macam tu saja. Dia macam ada gap. As we go along tu dia berpisah. Kerja makin kuat, kita makin diperah, tapi gaji tidak dibayar dengan setimpal. Jadi satu ialah masalah macam saya katakan tadi, gaji yang rendah, which is related tu dua benda yang saya katakan tadi. Satu ialah pelaburan kita adalah pelaburan yang murah. Macam mana kita nak expect kita punya ekonomi beroperasi dengan mahal kalau pelaburan itu adalah pelaburan yang murah. Nombor dua ialah macam gaji minimum saya katakan tadi. Dan saya amat gembira semenjak seminggu dua minggu yang lalu kita lihat Menteri Ekonomi ada mengatakan sesuatu pasal progressive wage system. Tetapi kenapa saya gembira? Sebab akhirnya pembuat dasar kita mengaku bahawa you bagilah financial education, literacy ke whatever. The problem is gaji yang rendah. So you have to make sure pekerja dapat gaji yang seadilnya dan sepatutnya apa yang dia dapat. Tapi saya harus caution dekat sini. Sekarang kita sudah ada satu sistem dipanggil Productivity Linked Wage, dipanggil PLWS. Ini lebih kurang mungkin dengan progressive wage system sebab kerajaan pun tidak umumkan lagi secara detail apa yang kena buat. Tetapi sistem yang sedia ada dipanggil Productivity Linked Wage System. Sistem ini dah diperkenalkan sejak tahun 1990. Dah lama. Agak-agak berapa banyak bisnes yang take up this sistem? Berapa banyak bisnes yang menggunakan sistem ini? Kurang dari 10%. Kalau kita ambil 100 perniagaan, hanya 9 saja yang menggunakan sistem ini. Walaupun sistem ini dah input in place sejak tahun 1990-an. Take up-nya adalah masih Jadi kalau kita nak buatlah sesuatu benda macam progressive wage system ni, nak pastikan pekerja dibayar dengan elok, harus dilakukan dengan betul. Maybe force the company ataupun make it compulsory untuk adopt that. Tapi you have to be clear also. Kalau you tak clear, company boleh ataupun majikan boleh gunakan sistem ni untuk pegang pula pekerja. End up katakan productivity tu lain. Bagi pekerja, productivity maksudnya lain. Untuk majikan maksudnya lain. Akibatnya pekerja tak dapat gaji yang sepatutnya mereka dapat. Okay. Itu cabaran nombor 2. Laporan murah, gaji rendah. Cabaran nombor 3 agak sedikit keluar sikit, tapi ini adalah amat penting. Kaitan dengan negara yang benua tadi. Saya mention pasal pekerja kita makin sedikit. Dan pekerja ini harus nanti later lagi 20-30 tahun mereka harus sangat produktif supaya dapat menggerakkan ekonomi. Sebab nanti kita akan ada populasi yang lebih ramai yang tidak aktif, maksudnya mereka yang sudah tua. Cabaran yang ketiga ini ialah jumlah budak-budak yang tidak sihat. Budak-budak sekarang lagi 10 tahun, 20 tahun mereka akan masuk dalam pasaran buruk. Bila mereka masuk dalam pasaran buruk, kalau sekarang mereka tak sihat, what do you expect from them? Mereka akan ada masalah pembesaran otak, brain development. Apakah masalah? Kenapa budak tak sihat? Apa benda indikator nak lihat budak tak sihat sekarang? Dia panggil kebantutan, stunting. Kebantutan ni, kalau budak tu umur dah lebih 5 tahun, dia dah tak boleh reverse, dah tak boleh buat apa. Dan sekarang kadar kebantutan itu makin meningkat. Sekarang kadar kebantutan kita sekitar 22%. Maksudnya daripada 100 orang budak bawah 5 tahun, ada 22 orang budak yang tak sihat, tak cukup zat makan. Apakah sasaran kerajaan? Kerajaan nak turunkan kadar itu kepada 11%. Bila? 2 tahun lagi, 2025. Adakah kita mampu untuk capai sasaran itu? Kenapa pastikan budak-budak yang sihat itu penting? Sebab nanti diorang ni akan masuk dalam pasaran buruk. Dan mereka ni akan berada dalam keadaan di mana negara sudah tua. Ekonomi harus digerakkan dengan produktiviti yang tinggi. Kalau ini tidak diselesaikan, kalau kita tak pastikan budak-budak ini sihat sekarang, tunggu kesannya lagi 20-30 tahun. Kenapa kena bagi budak suka makan? Apa jadi kalau budak tu tak suka makan? Satu, macam saya katakan tadi, brain development. Dia akan jadi slow sikit. Belajar slow. Dia tak dapat nak catch up dengan rakan-rakan dalam kelas dia. Nombor 1. Nombor 2, dan ini nombor yang faktor satu ni akan memberi kesan kepada pendapatan dia later on. Nombor 2, dia akan lebih senang kena penyakit-penyakit, macam diabetes ataupun sakit jantung. Dan ini akan costly kepada ekonomi itu sendiri. Dalam pelajaran kesihatan kita sekarang tak cukup. Nanti bila budak-budak ni nak perlukan rawatan, nanti apa jadi? So, nombor 3 tadi, cabaran itu adalah amat penting untuk kita nak pastikan kita punya buruh itu adalah berkualiti, sihat dan produktif. Di mana bila mana kita memerlukan mereka sangat-sangat, which is lagi 20 atau 20 tahun ke depan. Itu cabaran nombor 3. Cabaran nombor 4, pembelajaran kerajaan. Bagi saya ini adalah benda yang amat penting. Sebab kalau kita tak selesaikan ataupun tak tukar cara kita berbelajar, kita akan hadapi masalah yang teruk pada masa hadapan. 2 contoh saya nak bagi. Nombor 1, mungkin benda ni agak klise dan tuan-tuan sudah dengar banyak kali pasal hutang kerajaan. Mungkin tak nampak kesan dia, tetapi ianya amat memberi kesan terhadap apa yang kita terima sekarang. Sebagai contoh, hutang kerajaan yang dijamin sekarang adalah sekitar 300 bilion. Daripada 300 bilion ini, separuh adalah hutang yang hasil daripada projek-projek mega yang diumumkan. Hasil daripada peningkatan hutang ni, akibatnya kita kena tingkatkan, dia panggil bayaran hutang. dalam operating expenditure itu ada bayaran hutang. Bila kita terpaksa tingkatkan bayaran hutang, allocation untuk subsidi dan bantuan sosial juga akan berkurang. Dan ini akan berimpak terutamanya as we move forward towards aging population. Bila kita perlukan lebih banyak bantuan subsidi dan juga bantuan sosial. Nombor dua, dari segi kesihatan, saya tidak menyentuh sangat pasal retirement. Puan Bantis akan sentuh banyak pasal itu. Untuk kesihatan, sekarang kita berbelanja sekitar 2% daripada kita punya ekonomi. Kita nak jadi negara maju lagi 2 tahun. Negara maju berbelanja sebanyak 6% daripada ekonomi. Kita hanya sekitar 2%. Dan apa yang kalau kita lihat kepada negara yang sama level dengan kita, mereka belanja lebih tinggi, sebanyak 4%. Di mana komitmen kita untuk nak menghadapi negara yang menua ini. Lepas tu saya highlight tadi, mungkin kita tidak berapa nampak implikasinya, tapi ianya adalah amat besar dan ianya memang akan jadi, whether we like it. Okay, saya kira masa saya sudah pun tamat. Tapi untuk apa yang harus dilakukan, mungkin kita boleh simpan untuk discussion next session. Terima kasih.
Thank you for raised very scary points indeed for the future. Thank you for that. But what stood out on his information about fewer under 5 Malaysians, aged Malaysians. That's quite scary. So, why is this trend? Would it mean that there are fewer marriages, fewer couples try to have kids because of the fear of the future cost of living, or explain laziness on the couple's part? We do not know. So, this will have a real impact on society. Thank you, Dr. Joel, for raising that. And now it's time for Puan Balkis to fill us in with all the frightening facts and figures that will show we have reasons to worry about the future. She will speak on the role of EPF in ensuring adequate savings for workers to enjoy a decent post-retirement life.
Hello everybody, good morning, Assalamualaikum, and Salam Malaysia Menani. I'll be speaking from here, and I will have my colleagues, Amalina, to help me as well if this is a technical issue. You know, Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, today the world is aging. For the first time in the history of human civilization, we see an aged population growing bigger and bigger. There are about 7 billion people living on the face of the earth today. Can someone tell me how many are above the age of 60? Can you pick a guess? Out of that 7 billion, how many do you think are above the age of 60? 1 billion people. That's a staggering amount. Before this, you don't see these kind of numbers. And thank you to medical advancements, thank you to many things that's happening. The world is aging, but we want to live longer, but we want to live longer better, and we want to live longer with money and with good health, because health is wealth, right? So I'm going to start my presentation. It's not quite happening right now, so I have to entertain you with other things. So basically, I have several slides to show you, and I hope before I go into the solution that EPF will be championing at national and EPF level, I could share some other slides for us to be enlightened on certain things. So basically, I think all of you know EPF. We are a trillion ringgit fund, right? There's no other Malaysian organization in terms of asset that is 1 trillion. But when we ask ourselves, is it meaningful to the Malaysians? Is it a great number for the people that we serve? Maybe the question is not so great for some people, and some people benefited a lot, right? They have a lot of money in Libya. So, but we want to champion this because our role is about ensuring your retirement security and making sure that you have something to sustain yourselves when you're no longer working, right? Whether you're semi-productive or actively engaged, you need to have income. The paradigm in Malaysia needs to shift. We are not a savings institution. We help you accumulate, and we dapat gaji. Tak semestinya anak-anak kita akan bantu kita untuk hari ini. So I don't want to go into the numbers of EPF because you know them and you can find that in a lot of places. So the role of EPF, established in 1951, when Malaysia life expectancy was 54, it makes sense because some people perish before they can get their retirement. But it's not to say that people don't live longer, right? If you are 60 years old today, your life expectancy is 80 years old. It's no longer 75. 75 is because we take the life expectancy at birth, taking into account mortality rates at childbirth, as well as the accidents and other things that may happen towards you, right? Premature death, by sickness, terminal diseases, and all that. And of course, because males will perish a lot earlier than females. Across jurisdictions, female will live about 5 years longer, and that's true for Malaysia as well. So imagine this, you're going to work for 20 to 40 years, and you have to sustain yourself for another 25 or 40 years. Do you have that kind of money? So that's the question that I need for all of us to wonder today, right? So why does EPF exist? EPF exists because in 1948, the United Nations signed an international treaty by the name of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which accords that every member of the society deserves social security. It's embedded in Article 22. And at the same time, Article 23 and 24 also spells out the rights of workers to get access to decent wages, as well as being protected across your life cycle for many things that could happen. Who's to say that I'm going to be rich when I retire? I don't know. If you're a surgeon and you drive your car from KL to Penang and you face with an accident and you are no longer able to perform the surgery, are you secure for the rest of your life? You have a mortgage, you buy a bungalow, that cannot guarantee you. No one is spared from vulnerabilities. Every one of us will face adversities. I am a proponent of universal benefits because we need to make sure every citizen in this country, they are protected. No matter what is their social status, what is their income level, we all need protection. That's why the United Nations, under Minimum Standard ILO Convention, defines 9 areas of vulnerabilities, right? Because anyone can be sick who's never been sick here. The only person that I know that's not sick in the course of history of human civilization is Fir'aun. He never got sick. For some of you who do not know, he's a pharaoh, But every one of us, we get sick, right? We face unemployment challenges for people in the labor force. We get medical needs for families. I'm not going to go into the rest, but I am concerned with old age. EPF is established to guarantee or protect you from old age risk. Because when you are old, there comes a time that you cannot work. You cannot say that I can work forever, right? Some people, they have health. They can work, or if I am a consultant, I can still work. But if I am 75 years old, you ask me to work in the construction company. Come on, I don't have the physical abilities to do that. And with age also, we face physical and mental challenges. Some people have dementia and other things, right? So we need to do things better. And EPF is here to assist you with that old age. But there are other things that government needs to do as well. Because every citizen needs to be protected. So we have the means to do it. But the question is, do we want to do it as a society? Do we want to say that because someone didn't go to school and study, well, they deserve that minimum wage that is below poverty line? Is that what our society is all about? Do we want to see old age people, elderly, that is going to grow in large proportions of numbers, and then say that, sorry, you didn't say before, it's not my problem? Do you want to be like Korea, a country that faces highest level of suicide among the elderly because of poverty? Elderly poverty is a real thing, and it will become bigger and bigger, as mentioned by the gentleman here, that the nation is aging, right? So we need to do EPF also, we need to reform, we need to do things in a better form. But when EPF tries to announce something, wow, there's a huge level of reaction. And you know, a lot of people are not happy, but because maybe they have different needs and different wants, different expectations, and all that. But we need to elevate the level of thinking in our country and start to prepare for retirement a lot earlier. Like the gentleman had mentioned, everybody age, you know, and aging is inevitable, right? Unless you're the Benjamin Button. The curious case of Benjamin Button, it goes the other way around. But for most of us, it's the reality, right? So basically, I don't want to go through this because that's not why I'm here, maybe. Because you know your account structure, right? We have below 55, you know, you have account 1 and account 2, and you can do different things. And then when you become 55 to 60, we lock the whatever amount that you have, because you're still working. Because 50% of people who reach age 55, they tap out everything already. If I don't lock it out, they have nothing when they reach 60, right? 50%, right? But in this country, when we try to do public consultation, asking them to align retirement age to the withdrawal age, the whole nation, in 3 days, we get 75,000 people responding to our survey. Our survey was open for 2 weeks, but of course I never give them the option to stick to the status quo. I say, you know, you want to increase to 60 immediately, gradually, or you want to take still 55, but whatever you work from 55 to 60, 94% voted for that. The STAR did a survey maintaining the status quo, 90% voted for that. I cannot have that option. But if you're in STAR that time, didn't do me a service, okay? Because you see, for any change, people don't like. People resist change. You know, across the history of human civilization, people don't like change. But humanity progresses. Because over time, we do make the changes, but we don't like something that is shocking, you know, any policies, we will react. There's no policy that we will not react, but the question is, if you do it well, reaction, okay lah sikit. Kalau tak, dia mengamuk satu negara, you know, protest, goyang, bakar, you know, but in our country, at least the population are big, you know, mild lah, we don't go and burn things, you know. So basically, above 60, you have the option to withdraw monthly, but most people, only 7,000 people above the age of 60 make monthly withdrawal. The next, they say, that, you know, they become more attractive, from there, they become muda, you know, suddenly got money, right? Okay, but anyway, you know, so basically, you know, also we cover the private sector and the informal sector, and we're trying to do things better, and we have this thing, you know, 11%, 12 or 13%, depending on your gaji, right, if you don't know that already. But we also have several things that people can top up. So for the voluntary contributions, you can do it up to 100,000 now, outside the salary framework. If you are working and in the formal sector, you can deduct your salary up to 100%. There's no limit. And then you can put up another 100,000. ISRA government gives 15% top up for the informal sector if you do not have an employer. And of course, you have ISRA. Please, the guys in this room, I'll be very upset if you don't transfer 2% to your wife. You know, so if you are working, you are allowed to. Well, why? Because women live longer. They need to be celebrated for their role in developing and building talents. The Prime Minister, who's the Prime Minister today, his mother was responsible to raise him. So the value of women in terms of unpaid care and, you know, and developing talents and giving birth to really brilliant children who are the foundation of this country is very important. We cannot deny that. Nafkah is for today, but you must have their retirement also. So you must do that, okay? Okay, and then you have also your voluntary access, which companies do, but the individuals don't do. As an individual, you can do that. I do extra for myself as well, so I do that was 16% of my salary. Because I need to know what I want to live, because I don't want to see just, you know, traveling the world. I also want to go visit him in San Francisco, right? So if I don't have the money, I just tengok tiket jari, you know, tengok Solomon going to Switzerland, you know, I cannot do anything, right? So we need to plan for that. But issues and challenges, I'm going to share a little bit, but I think the gentleman here, Dr. Zuhair, had shared a lot. But I just want to tell you that whatever he's saying here, this is showing our population pyramid. This is a reality. And can the of retirement and pension is going to be significantly different from the time before in the 19th century when the population was still young. People did not have access to penicillin was a major disruptive element that gives us longer life expectancy. Before that, life expectancy of the world was 35 years old. In 2017, Malaysians will live up to 85. That's our average life expectancy. So don't think that you're not going to be there. For your children, the children of the Gen Y today, 1 in 3 will be 100 years old. That reality is coming, ladies and gentlemen. You know, so nampak tak? Dulu orang banyak anak, sekarang dah tak ada. Dulu satu kerja ada 6 orang nak support dia. Nanti satu bekerja 2 orang je. Dan that doesn't mean that 2 orang bekerja dari itu anak saya. Saya tak ada pun kalau tak ada anak kan. Yeah? So this is a problem here. I just want to reinforce what Dr. Zuhair mentioned. The thing is, Malaysia is aging very fast. The speed of aging is looking at how fast is the country attaining the period of aging to becoming an aged nation. Aging is defined as when 7% of the population constitute the elderly. And how fast you move from 7% to 14%. So if you move from 40% to 25%, you call that an aged nation, super aged nation, right? Aged is 14%, aging is 7%, super aged is 20% or 21% elderly. If you have become hyper aged like Japan, is 28% of the elderly. So it tells you how fast you become from an aging nation to an aged nation. We're going to take 25 years. In fact, with the recent development, it's 23 years for Malaysia. We haven't updated the slides. France took 150 years. So we need to say that when they became an aging nation, 7% of the population, it was in the 1865. When they had 40% constituting the elderly, it was 1980. By that time, France is already a developed nation. It has the facilities, it has the social security infrastructure, it has the hospital, it has all the other things in the wealth to support the aging nation. Where are we? I don't know. Okay, so here I don't want to go into the numbers, but I just want to impress upon you. So now, the question for us, most of us, I'm not saying that for sure you akan kerja, ada kereta, kahwin, ikut this sequence tak ada. You know, but typically most people go through that life cycle. So you're gonna work. And then, well, then 60, apa IPF, are you gonna be able to live until 100? I don't know. You know, so that's the question that we need to start thinking today, right? So lump sum withdrawals will not help you smoothen your consumption. I ambil beli kereta Bugatti, baca kan habis. Teringin dulu dah kerja teruk, you know. So sekarang nak beli lah kita Bugatti, you know, bawa sports car kan. But then who's going to help me? I cannot guarantee my children will help me, right? So you need to think about that. And in a country where the people are not healthy, 6 in 10 Malaysians have non-communicable diseases. Compared to Japan, 8 in 10, they are healthy. And if you look at the medical science, what the medical science tells you is that your body and my body, we can live disease-free up to the age of 90. What are we doing? We are throwing good 15 years on the table, not being healthy. And the average life expectancy in Malaysia for healthy life expectancy is 66. Baguslah kalau nak cakap retire sampai 65. Sebab umur 66, kencing manis, high blood pressure, all that will come in. So I'm telling you guys, actually you can be healthy until 90. What are we doing to our body? That's why in some religion they say your body is your temple. You kena jaga apa yang masuk. It's not about the genetics, lottery. Genes only affect about 5 to 10% of how healthy you are. And not even exercise will determine how healthy you are. It's what you consume. Yeah, so we need to take care. 20% you can cure, but prevention is what's going to help us, you know, because having good health, wealth, and life. So that's what we're trying to preach here today, yeah? So the implications of aging, ladies and gentlemen, in Malaysia, people who are living in relative poverty is 90%. Elderly, 41% of the elderly cohorts are in relative poverty. 65% of Malaysians elderly are living in poverty households. 85% of elderly are part of Malaysia's B60. What does that tell you? Aging is associated with poverty, right? For some of us, only 15%. If there's 100 people in this room, only 15 will probably live above the poverty level or like a good life, part of T20. If you want that for yourself, I will don't know. I certainly don't want that. You know, I want a better future for myself. And for every 10% increase in the elderly population, there is a drop in 5.5% GDP. That's why we are here. We are here to help you smoothen your consumption. If you tak ada kerja, you tak ada gaji, and if you open your business, who's going to buy your product? Who's going to buy your spodo or goreng pisang or char kway teow that you goreng? Elderly tak ada duit. And as Dr. Zohar saying, today, elderly population about 3.6 million, we were going to quadruple that to become near 30 million. The working age population is 24 million today. It will still be 23 to 24 million going forward. Who's going to support the economy? If people are not having income in their hands, who's going to purchase the goods and products that businesses do? Businesses, you need to care about paying people better and about making sure that your people get their retirement, because if they don't have the money, this economy can face some challenges, right? So I don't want to go you through the numbers. Of course, the healthcare will get better, but from the EPR standpoint, we have low coverage of the labor force. People are facing inadequate savings. We don't have a structure in other countries. They have a pension. They have a retirement system that gives them regular income. Even for countries that allow lump sum withdrawal, they have a state pension or government tax finance pension. You don't tell me we cannot do it, because we can. Malaysia boleh. Because if I were to take the whole amount of subsidy that now benefits, the higher income, we can distribute that money equally and get a more equal society. Maybe you can show me that page. Page number. Sorry, I have a bit more slides that I want to show you. Okay, you see the blue lines represent how the different decile of the population is benefiting from the fuel subsidy today. You see, the higher income they get more. Maybe some people in school, But if you take the same amount, because subsidy is regressive, not all subsidy is regressive, but if you have childcare subsidy, it's okay, because we need to build our talents and younger children. You see, if you take it, distribute, everybody benefits, right? Only the top end lose a bit, but they can afford it. The bottom will get the benefit. So we should now do better policies in this country. Page number, otherwise it's late. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to go through with you about some data, right? So I've gone through this. So we have some gaps in our pension system as well, so we need to do that. So this is coverage of workers. By right, if you are in a developed country, 85 to 90% of the population is covered. In this country, we created this group called contract for service. I work for you, Solomon. You say, Balkis, you come to work 9 to 5. You cannot go on leave if I don't allow you, but you're on the contract. It's called, non-permanent long-term contract worker, CFS. And then, you pay UPF your own, I pay you 10,000, you buy a CD. That one, under international convention, I have a relationship with you. Employee, I use the laptop, I use your land. By right, that must be covered. That's already violating the labor rights under Social Security. So, but what we're trying to say here, labor force being covered in Malaysia is 56%. Global average is 68%. Adults of working age having some kind of pension coverage under the work name is only 39% in Malaysia, and global is 3%. We are underperforming many global averages, including for healthcare spending. We even underspend for education. Although that's taking a lot of the budget, but it's still well below global best practice. Okay, now in terms of population being covered, right? So we have 23 million. So I told you there's a lot of people outside the labor force. 16.7 million in labor force. Formal sector covered EPF and civil service, but there's a lot of people under CFS, foreign workers, they're not covered. In the informal sector, they're totally not covered. We need to do something about that, whether voluntarily or whatever policies. We need to do it better and make sure workforce are covered, because they will take accountability for themselves. At the same time, of course, government must do something as well. So on top of that, I think somebody had mentioned, yes, it's true, EPF has been, the depletions of savings is a real thing. We were at 35% people meeting basic savings, but we're not saying that that's a threshold. We say that's a minimum we have different numbers to say that what is a better life, but a lot of people cannot meet that, so I cannot put like super high number. If I were to say that 600,000, which is our adequate savings definition, basic savings is minimum. 600,000 means you have 2,500 ringgit per month. I only have 4% in the population of EPF that can mean that. So I cannot have unpragmatic numbers to you. So I have 3 levels of income right now, or savings tiers that we're looking at in EPF, but we have to share this because the numbers are very sad. I'll show you the gaji and you will cry. Okay? I will show you something. So what we're trying to say is that, you see, terima kasih lah, above 55 dia tak buat keluar, so dia punya achievement is better. When we look at the withdrawals from EPF, about 145 billion leaving the system, they're all coming from below 45. So a lot of them are struggling because they still have families, loan and all that. So it's very sad, but maybe. So if I were to show you savings by different racial segregation, so it has dropped significantly post the pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic is a human tragedy of epic proportions. Well, EPF does allow the withdrawals. More than 24 countries allow. Yeah, but they stopped in 2021. Kita bagi lagi 2022. Baik, 2023 EPF kata tak boleh bagi. It's in the act. The act allows the minister to do something to ensure any type of withdrawal. So it's in our act. To change that, it's very difficult. I have to go to parliament to change the act. So, but the PM stood tall and he pushed back on further withdrawals, but created other products that if they can afford it, right? So this is the distribution of our assets. And if you look at salary, 0.3% only, earn 3%, sorry, 3% only earn 20K. And if that's all of you, you're part of the 3%. You want to cry or not? About 80% are earning below 5,000 in this country, right? And close to, it was at 80% before, now it's at 50%. So the salary are quite depressed. We need to do something because I cannot pay you. If I get 1,500 ringgit as a minimum income, I have 2 kids and a husband. Let's say it's a husband, cacat, whatever they say. You are asking me to live at poverty line, 1,500 divided by 4. That's not even 500 ringgit per person. Are we being fair to the society? It is on us. We can push these policy changes to government. Because we are part of government. We cannot say that we abdicate it because we can do something together, right? So I think we should be paying a living wage. In Japan, the lowest of the job gets paid a living wage to give people dignity, to give people the ability to access basic needs, apart from other social participation that's required. So people receiving pension. Just now I mentioned that it's 1 billion elderly in this world. Out of that 1 billion elderly, 780 million are getting some kind of pension. Whether it's government-backed pension or their own contributory. Where are we? 20%. 60% from the civil service pensioners, the other 4% from Bantuan Warga Emas. We only give to borrow 4% of the elderly. Is that a fair society? We need to do this better. Under United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 1.3 says that countries must develop and establish, appropriate national social protection system and measures for all, including those who are vulnerable and poor, and this include establishing social protection laws and dual group yang wajib dapat benefit, universal child benefits and universal elderly benefits. I would like for our country to do that. All elderly, we can do it. Thailand did it. Anyone above 65 dapat semua tahu. Myanmar has done it. Vietnam has done it. It doesn't have to be a lot. We can start above 75. We can start above 70 if we have a physical constraint. I don't have to do it at 60. We can start at 80. The group is small. Build the capacity. Build the physical space. Then we pay lah. Then hanya sikit kita bayar because these two groups are deemed as quite, you need help, right? And not everybody can work, like I mentioned before. And in our country, EPF, we also do not mandate the contribution, the monthly income. So we have to do something like 2.6 million elderly almost tak ada apa-apa. Anak-anak dia, based on study by UM, because we commissioned that study and the Social Wellbeing Research Center, which EPF funds, and if a child gives 150 ringgit only to their parents, how to live? Can get zakat 300, 450. If I'm hardcore poor, dapat 500, 900. You don't tell me that I can live with that, right? You're asking me to be in poverty. It's not fair, right? So by 2060, that number will get even higher if we don't act now, right? So now, what should a good country do, right? So in a pension system, we have a state pension, which is tax finance. This is contributory pension, and number 3 is your private saving. Any social security will have that 3 tier. Tax finance, contributory base, your private. Kalau insurance, public healthcare, national health insurance, private insurance. Sama. But for pension, it has 2 layers. One is contributory national pension, which is redistributive. Can we share solidarity? Solomon contribute 500, I contribute 100. Last kali kita semua dapat 400. Contoh. You know what I mean? That is the society that we want to build. This is a we mentality. We're very me. Me in Asia, it's all me. Family jaga dulu dia tak nak. Share duit I, kenapa nak bagi orang? In Islam also is concept of ummah. You know, the first social policy was developed by Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab. All children in the Muslim world get an allowance. All elderly get free healthcare and allowance. Jews, Muslims, they are cared for until they die. Right? Okay. Anyway, so EPF, we need to do something also to cover more people. So this is what we need to do, because it cannot be this. In any country that does means testing, at minimum dia bagi B60. Minimum tau, kita bagi B4. Tak ada O pun, tak B40 pun. Okay? Alright. Okay, so now, strategic response. So what can we do? We need to reform the fiscal space. I think there's a lot of people going to talk about that, so I don't know. We need to start thinking about long-term care economy. It's already happening. How will you make sure assisted living that orang tua tu dah tak ada, tak boleh nak cuci rumah dia, and a lot of them are going to be alone, right? In the developed world, in UK, that creates jobs, 3 million people are engaged in social care. They don't work that hard. They just go and tengok, dia cuci tak 2 kali seminggu rumah orang tua, get food and all that. And they can still live and be independent. But some of them require help to bathe, to do other things. This is a reality, guys. This number will become 30 million. Kalau I nak jaga mak, bapa I kat rumah, I tak boleh bekerja. So which one do you do? Then will you support the person that's now need to be at home because both parents are disabled and cannot do work and mandi by themselves, and then you don't want to ignore the person? It's actually reinventing the work of the government from healthcare, because I stay home and take care of my parents. Shouldn't I deserve some protection? I do. In other countries, they give them pension credit and an allowance. Right? So aligning the national minimum wage, I will share that later. Financial interest saving, someone mentioned that, this must be done. National pension reform, EPF is working hard to do these 2 pensions we want to do. Right? So we want to do both. You have your own defined contribution plan, and we need to do this a solidarity plan. And that guarantees you lifetime income for future generation. Too bad, anyone above 45, it's a lost generation now. We have to bank on this one. The government wants to do a tax finance. But in all countries, they have all these areas now. And government, in New Zealand, they pay 100%. Child benefits, Mongolia used to have universal child benefits, so more children dapat. They just change it to 85%. In this country, always B40 dapat makan. Then they tengok, malu nak mengaku B40, nak cakap kat kawan, I keluarga miskin. If you give universal, no children is left behind. Then they develop their brain also. The first 1,000 days is the most important of brain development. And I don't feel malu that I have to take the food because it's universal. You need to give people dignity, I think. Yeah? Anyway, I hope Karuna is okay with me for social justice. So now, coming back to what EPF needs to do, EPF needs to do 4 things. Extending coverage. Account restructuring, I think you would have heard us on BFM today. We need to redo our account. We're trying to create a flexible account, give people some access, temporary relief for emergencies. Yeah? But we are going to hold a bigger chunk on the repayments. Yeah? And then we need to be aligned we'll have to do that for younger generation. If not today's cohort can go into the system voluntarily. And then we need to do the other. And this also include the income drawdown that we're talking about. Current cohort, choose lah. If you want to go into the system, you go. But new cohorts, wajib already. So this is a belajar buku figure that my team and the UN worked on. So we're saying that to live well in Klang Valley, if you don't have a car, you need 1,900 ringgit. If you are living, if you have a car, you need 2,600 ringgit. But we've done this for 12 cities, including Klang Valley. But and every different households. But if you want to use, this is a proxy for living wage because this is expenditure. It's not based on wages, yeah. Because if you add back the statutory rates, you can get the living wage. So we do this annually. Every December, EPF will publish this, and we have an app to help younger people to track their expenditure. So now, what's your number? Something relevant to you? I don't know if Pakar is expecting this. If you are today earning 15K, you do not want any deterioration in your lifestyle, you better have 3.8 million. If you want to live on 10K, you better have 2.5 million in your EPF to help sustain you every month dapat. And assuming inflation, masa tu baru get back to OPS, right? If you are living 5K today, you can kali je, kali 20 or 20. So the formula is, take whatever you're earning times 12 times 20. But people say that you can do it at 70% income because by that time you assume you dah bayar rumah, financial commitment. But the reality is, until 70, bank negara still bagi loan. So 60 tak guarantee pun you ada that 70% expenditure. So now, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you can want to get to 1 million, you see how at a younger age, and you letak 670, you can get 1 million at 60. If you 50 years old, sorry lah, 6,000, your capital is 700,000 because you cannot benefit from compounding. But if you're young, so tell your kids to do it now. Open EPF account for your children because we allow as early as 14. You see how it helps you. But if you want to reach that 1 million, in the US they have this movement called FIRE movement, right? Financial Independence Retire Early. So they try to get to the 1 million portfolio and they can live off their dividends and all that, right? So if you want to get that at 40 and say, I want to be free, write a blog, or I don't want to work anymore, do this, right? Put right? Then you get there. Your principal is a lot lower when you're younger. When you're old like me, you cannot do anything you're doing. But when you say, 1 million a lot, I only have 80,000 millionaires in my life. I also want to cry when I see the number. And if you're that part of Millionaires Club, you're one of 80,000 patients. And that 1 million only gives you 4,200 ringgit. How to live? I don't know, cannot holiday lah. Okay, so now another way to see this why it helps. See, all of these people, their principal is 48K. This person start at 20, letak 100 ringgit until 60, he can get 148,000. You see, not individual be not very smart. Put 200 ringgit, capital is the same but start later, can only accumulate half of it. You see not the power of compounding. Time and money is magic. You have to start early. But if this person, this one, clever, 200 ringgit awal, stop at 40, doesn't do nothing, Ended up with 238, much better than individually. You see how important it is to tell our children how to start saving early. Now this is another way if you defer. So for Solomon, again, you can do much already, right? Save awal dah tak ada masa. If you defer, if you have 55, at age 55, 500,000, if you defer, you don't touch your money that's supposed to be, you can withdraw at 55, see? Naik 40% tahun. If you let it just stay there, no new money comes in, you stop working completely, your principal grows to 1 million, 90%. That's because compounding works for you, it's exponential at the end. So you defer that, but people come unit trust and say, EPF give you 6%, we give you 50%. In 10 years, we can outperform already. So people don't have financial education, we don't know. So basically, we are here to help you achieve a better future. Trust us. But I want to also quote JFK. There's no problem of human destiny that is beyond human beings. The question today that what we want to ask today is not whether change is possible. The question to ask is, will we make the change? Will you help us together to change? Thank you.
Wow, that was a passionate delivery. Thank you very much, Lapis. You nearly made me cry. And I decided to open an account for my wife. What struck me most was that she said EPF is not a savings institution, because a lot of us are using that, want to use that as an ATM, automatic teller machine. So I really wish governments of the day listen to EPF, and maybe we should send one baggage to the DM's department. With that, let me call upon Mr. Emil Shazwan to deliver his address. It's subject to the utmost importance, as he will speak on youth employment in the changing world of work. How would the younger generation work towards building savings for the retirement?
Hello, good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum, thank you so much, Sajjad. Before I begin, I just wanted to say thank you to SPCAM for inviting me to this talk today. And also thank you for my fellow speakers, as well as subject matter experts. It's an absolute honor for me to share this stage with you. I've also met some of you today that's attending. Some of you are civil servants, some of you have worked in social protections, banks and so forth. So I just want to say on behalf of myself as well as the organization that I come from, as well as the generation that I come from. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions to the country and giving the chance for my generation to make an honest living for ourselves. So my name is Emil Shazwan. I'm from the Rakyat. We are an organization that serves as a platform. Serves as a platform for professionals, activists, as well as students to voice our concerns and ideas on Malaysia's policy making. Today I've been asked to speak about how the youth generation, the younger generations are able to save up for their retirement. So I'll be speaking on the benefit for the youth. I'm 34 years old. I don't know if you'll be able to call me a youth, but as Tuan Anwar has said, Tuan Syed has said, with the increase in retirement age, I believe that now I'm still considered a teenager, so to speak. My profession, I come from many different backgrounds. I was a lawyer before, and then I worked for a while as a corporate lawyer at one of gas. And then didn't really enjoy it. Went back to do my master's in something completely different, which is visual anthropology. I worked as a commercial ethnographer in London, in the UK. Was paid very handsomely for that. I was paid about £450 a day. And then I decided, I come from Sarawak, and I decided that I wanted to go back to Sarawak and contribute to my state, because I was born there, but I never really grew up there. And I wanted to get in touch with my roots and my people. And at the time, in 2016, 2017, we had the creation of Petros, our national oil company, state company. And there were many things that were moving in terms of the MA63 fight that our state government was doing. So I wanted to go back and contribute, and I found myself a job working at the third largest port in Malaysia, the Teluk Port. I started out as a small time manager, but over the past of 5 years, I've managed to uplift myself to become the head of corporate strategy at the port. So, as you can see now, since then, I'm back in KL. I moved back in KL after working in Sarawak for the past 5 years. And now I've started my own business. My company deals with commodity trading. We focus now on supplying fuels to marine vessels that call ports in East Malaysia. But at the core of it, I'm a commodity and index trader, right? So you can't accuse me of being not a productive member of society. If you're a trader, you're not a productive person in society. But that's why I had my business as an excuse to afford that. So, why I wanted to say on all this, because I'm supposed to be speaking to the youth, right? People of my generation, people younger than I am, is that you need to have, you need to be able to be flexible, and you need to always upskill yourself in order for you to be a dynamic person. We know the world today is changing rapidly. Perhaps whatever that we know today might not be so relevant in the next 5 years or 2 years or maybe tomorrow, given the advent of technology such as AI being present here today. And this is something that I feel should be extended not just to the youth but also to people of the later generations, the baby boomers, Generation Y, people who are, especially people who are finding it difficult today, having your wages surpassed, as well as having your expenses increase. So perhaps it's a high time for you to look at different skills that you can cultivate and move towards a different part of the chapter of your life. But today, I would like to talk more on policies and what my views are, but given the constraints on time, I'd like to just speak very briefly on what the young can do to uplift themselves and have enough for your retirement savings. And these are core concepts that you learn, as well as some tools that you may need and some resources that you can utilize. Okay, so why save now, right? Saving now, there's never been a time in history where saving is more important. I think Juan Balkish just now mentioned that the withdrawals by EPF of a total of 155 billion for people under 45 years old. So what does that say about people like me, right? We're not really, well, perhaps we are spending it on our needs and requirements, but also, honestly, most of it, for my personal experience and observations, were done in the pursuit of consumption. Right? We are consuming things that we don't need because the environment that we live today emphasizes image, right? If you're not able to go to this school or do this in your lifestyle, then you feel that you're being left out. So we tend to live more beyond what we can actually afford for ourselves. So, second point I'd like to make is that millennials, people my generation, are the first generation to be poorer off than the previous generation. It's the first time in the history of capitalism that this has ever happened. There's many studies and consensus out there to prove that these things are. But there's a silver lining. Although we are worse off because of the economic conditions, the market crash in 2008, and so forth, we are also earning more because of what I mentioned before, having that flexibility, skills, multidisciplinary skills, and also being able to utilize the resources that we have today, such as technology, as well as programs that are out there. So savings, the importance of savings and why you need to save is it gives you financial security, it gives you the independence and freedom to do what you want and not being dependent on other people. It also gives you the ability to plan for your retirement, right? And the next stage of that, once you have these two things, is you be able to deal with life transitions. These are periods in your life where you may feel that, as I mentioned before, maybe your current job is not paying you enough. So you have to take time off from work and to find a different work for yourself. Or maybe you just need to take a holiday and figure things out, right? So having savings will give you this freedom to do so. And you'll also be able to achieve goals and as well as your dreams that you set up for yourself. Everybody has them. And for me, the most important thing, at least, is having that peace of mind, right? And once you have these things as well, you get to ascend to the apex of that pyramid, where you're able to take advantage of all the opportunities that life presents to you, right? And you won't be able to take on more liabilities, taking on debt and and making interest payments on that debt. So ultimately, having savings is building up wealth, accumulating wealth, right? And that goes back, it's a cyclical process for me. I see once you get to the apex of the pyramid, you go down and you have greater financial security, greater independence and freedom to do what you like. But how do we get there? How do we achieve this hierarchy of needs, right? At the very bottom of this pyramid, you need to have a strong foundation. What is it? It's reinforcing positive financial habits. Okay? So very briefly, to me, what this means is it's synonymous with, I'm talking again to the youth here. It's synonymous with personal development, right? And it's synonymous with having a good mindset, the right mindset, being responsible to yourself as well to other people, having the discipline and commitment to do the things that you've set out to do, being able to plan out for yourself, right? And lastly, it's having and cultivating a strong sense of emotional intelligence. Having financial literacy, we can talk about it in terms of hard skills, but I feel a lot of what people miss is having financial literacy is synonymous with having a strong emotional intelligence. You need to give yourself some time to cultivate your emotional intelligence and your skills in order for you to grow and understand yourself and your needs better. Okay? So the good news is for young people is that having these good financial habits, this foundation, is easier to inculcate in you as a younger person, right? On the flip side, if you're an older person, and many young old adults here can testify to this, is that it gets harder for you to save as you grow older. Why is that? Because we have more responsibilities, we have more obligations, we have more mouths to feed. So your additional income may not be so much as it were when you were in your early 20s, for example, right? And if you're in your early 20s, you should stop smoking. You should not go out to clubs too much, and you should really start saving at a very early age. That's the key in having enough savings for you to achieve these needs that I've highlighted out for you. Okay, so let's talk about the key concept, right? All right, young people. The key concept behind savings that you must understand is the power of compound interest. I think one politician has covered it very briefly earlier, so I will not go too much into it, but I can tell you it's made up of three things. The first is the factor of time. The earlier that you save, the greater your returns will be. The second factor is interest, the amount of interest rates that you get. You need to do your research, right? And you need to spread out your savings in order for you to get the best spread of interest rates. Okay? And this also will translate into a later part of our talk, which is to once you are comfortable, you may consider investing in higher risk investment assets. And thirdly, which is something that not a lot of people talk about when they talk about compound interest, is having the initial principal amount, a significant principal amount that starts when you start investing in your investment fund. If you want to have 1 million ringgit by the age of 60 or 65, you need to have at least start with 10,000 ringgit over a period, and you need to save prudently over a course of 40 to 45 years and commit at least 500 ringgit to your savings account. Now, easier said than done. 72% of Malaysians say that they are unable to save more than 500 ringgit per month. That's 2/3 of Malaysians that cannot even have this level of savings in place. So this is a crisis. It's a crisis for everyone. But for young people, having this knowledge initially at the start will give you that leapfrog, right? It will give you that head start in order for you to start saving now, cultivate the mentality. The next step in order for you to move forward and progress in your savings journey is setting clear financial goals. What does this mean? Setting clear financial goals is having goals throughout a set point in time throughout your savings journey. It can be in the short term, it could be in the medium term, it also could be in the long term, right? So, practically speaking, today, go back, take out a piece of paper and write there what do you want to achieve within the next year. What do you want to achieve within the next 5 years, and what do you want to achieve in the next 10 to 15 years? And these goals can change, right? Plans change. You yourself change. It's okay to change your goals, but you need to be able to be honest with yourself, right? And you need to put in a very achievable goal. And it can also be a stretch goal. There's nothing wrong with that. But ask yourself, how am I going to achieve those goals? Right? So having clear financial goals will give you clarity of what you want to do in life, as well as giving the ability for you to prioritize what your resources, look at your spendings, and also measure and progress yourself as you go along in your investment journey. Next, these are the tools in order for you that goes hand in hand with having financial goals. Right? This is a tool for you to also improve and refine your financial goals as you go along. The first step that you need to do is create a budget. Right? Create a budget, take control of your finances. With a budget in place, you'll be able to monitor your expenses, have a forecast your income, and see how you will be doing within the short, medium, and long-term goal. When I first started doing this is when I started work many years ago, 10 years ago. And at the time, when you get gaji, you get your wages, but at the start I was paid little, so I didn't have to actually pay taxes. I was very minimum wage, so to speak. But after a while, you spend and you never keep track of your finances. So when you see something that you like, your hobbies, for example, you feel guilty. I don't know if I can spend on this thing. So when I started tracking my budget over 1 year period, you need to give yourself time to get something to do. Over 1 year period, I say, year on year, this month, I see a 20% reduction in how much I spend for food. That means I have a surplus amount for me to take myself to something else, maybe take a holiday and so forth. So having this ability to track your budget will give you some peace of mind, right? And also give you the time and portion for you to allocate part of your income into your savings. Okay. Next, you need to also establish a retirement savings plan. I'm not going to talk too much on this because we have Juan Balkich as well as many other subject matter as we can here to talk more on that. I would like to say this though, and what Juan has just mentioned, right? That whatever amount that you're saving up it won't be enough because there's this thing called inflation rates. Right? So whatever money that you have today, you need to take into account how much it would be valued in 40 to 50 years' time. As a trader, I can tell you that the future does not look rosy. And over now, our Malaysian target is to get inflation back down to 2 or 2.5%. That's a very honorable thing, but moving forwards within the next 15 years, considering geopolitical sentiments, we look at in the capital markets, how things are in the repo markets, for example. I think we won't be able to maintain a period 2.5% interest rates. Inflation rates going forwards. I think it will be much higher than that within the next 10, 15 years. Okay? So whatever that you have saved today, it will not be enough. Okay? And you need to really consider once you max out, for example, your PSB, for non-moving group trust, you need to invest in all the available resources that are made available to you, ASM, all of those things, max it out, and find many different vehicles for you to invest in money. Our EPF is a regulatory body backed by the Malaysian government. It's the most safest way for you to save your money. So next is a topic that's close to my heart, being a trader myself. I invest in stocks, commodities, derivatives, futures contracts, and so forth. But this is something that you can do after you've ticked all the boxes that I mentioned previously, right? And you've already maxed out the ESM, for example. You've done everything that you can, and you have a surplus income. This is something that for you to consider, because the returns here, I can tell you, are far greater in the short span of time. But the key is you need to be aware that I need to give a caveat on that this thing is high risk, highly high risk investments, right? So although it can give you great return in a short span of time, it can also take it away faster than that. Okay, so you need to give yourself some education, some due diligence, as well as patience for you to cultivate the skills and how to invest in high investment risk assets, right? And again, my advice here, young people also, you're very susceptible to get rich quick schemes. You want to take 20,000, 30,000 ringgit of your parents' money and immediately put it in the latest league stocks, for example. It doesn't work that way. The greatest traders are the ones that are able to trade consistently, right? And trade small money with as little risk as possible. It's the same that good traders are good losers. They're able to just take the loss and live another day. So this is something for everyone to consider, both for young people as well as retirees or people reaching their retirement age. Okay, this is something that I feel not a lot of people know. This is something that I just wanted to highlight. It's not very conventional. There's so many free and available resources out there for you to tap into, right? Our government has committed to uplifting the rakyat in terms of their financial capabilities. So you can get a lot of programs, educational programs from government, central agencies, from regulatory bodies and so forth to upskill yourself. This is a program organized by the Securities Commission. It's certified financial planners, something that we think are reserved for higher income people, T20s for example, right? It's not true. As a M40, B40, you should get financial consultation where possible, and this is something that's done once a year. You can sign up for it. These certified financial planners are obligated to give you free financial planning and consultation for you, the rakyat. The catch is only done once a year. Okay, so this is something that I myself has missed out, but make sure to mark your calendars for next year as well. Lastly, I wanted to address the difficulty, right, in savings. Okay, things happen in your life that you don't plan for, right? You have a third child, for example, or you broke your leg coming down from a skiing accident, or you have this obligation that you never planned for. Okay, so or your job becomes redundant and you are left off from your jobs, right? This is something that I want to press forward to everyone, and I hope that being here is a little proof of that the best investments that you can make is in yourself. And what do I mean by that? You need to constantly learn new skills, teach yourself a new knowledge, right? And look out for the next big thing. Don't be so comfortable resting on your laurels, right? For young people, it's big controversial, but don't be so loyal to the companies that you work for. I mean, they're companies, right? And companies, as everyone here has agreed, that your wages are suppressed. So if you have a certain skill set and you know the true value of yourself, and you've invested in yourself, right? Go look for other jobs. I'm a lawyer, an anthropologist, whatever that I do has absolutely nothing to do with my education background. Okay? So there's plenty, again, as I mentioned before, plenty of free and available resources out there for you to tap into. That's done by corporations, regulatory bodies, central agencies. You have programs by NDAC, you have programs by Microsoft and so forth, looking for new talent, right? And you having that, for people reaching the close to retirement age, you have that body of experience, right? In order for you to carry that into the next phase of your career, right? Young people like myself, we don't have a lot of experience, right? But we have that aspiration and that sort of like a different perspective of what things are. But what we like is experience, right? And I'm quite old school. I like how things were done in the past. I'm quite a conservative among my peers. But I feel that we need to find a place to meet in the middle ground and share our knowledge as well as experience together. Okay, so in conclusion, I wanted to recap what I have today. The key to having enough for your retirement savings is starting early in order for you to harness the power of compound interest. You need to set clear financial goals for yourself, as well as, and how you do that is through budgeting, right? As well as understanding retirement saving options that are available to you. You need to invest wisely, having done your due diligence and understanding what you're going to be investing in, and also utilizing all the available resources that are available to you. Okay, and you need to overcome challenges by upskilling yourself and having a positive mindset and having a high emotional intelligence to boot. So with regards to that, I highly encourage young people as well as people of all generations to start saving, continue to save. It's the most important thing for you to do in your life, I would imagine. For me, that's one of the things that prompted me to what I'm doing now, which is to be an investment, to trader. We invest in, we speculate, we invest in equities and stocks and so forth. So with that, I'd like to say again, thank you to SPCAM for having me today. Thank you to all the attendees for coming to this talk today, and I hope to see you all again in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amen, for giving some great advice to youths. Unfortunately, most of us here are a little senior, but never mind, it's good for us to, especially when you said that most people appear to be living beyond their means, keeping little or none for old age security, and having good financial habits, looking to having good emotional intelligence. So for the final speaker, I will call upon Sister Karuna to give us some insights into how the woman, the workforce.
Good afternoon, everyone. President of SPCAM, Mr. Solomon, on the side. SPCAM Exco members, distinguished speakers, colleagues, and everyone who is present here today. A very good afternoon. We've gone into afternoon. Very good afternoon, and thank you very much for this platform. Giving me the opportunity to speak about women and whether we are ready to retire towards a decent life. Interestingly, from morning, everybody's been saying that women are actually outdoing men. And I think it's from birth. So women are more resilient because we take on more additional responsibility, not only looking after the children, but they also look after the husbands. So maybe the husband can do a little bit of housework, you can become a little bit more resilient and live longer. I'll go into the I would start off by saying retirement is inevitable. Sorry, I'll go back first. Yeah, retirement is inevitable because it's regulated by law. 60 years old and you retire. There's no options at the moment except for, I think, some trade unions that have extended the retirement age. And that's why trade unions are very important for a society, for a nation, yeah? Because you have a voice, the workers have a voice. And the largest population, the largest category is the workers. Like even in Malaysia, we have more than 50% of the population who are workers. And the workers and the trade union does not only look after existing workers, but also future workers. So that is one of the reasons why a trade union is very important, because they regulate they regulate the law that is regulating the society, and the collective agreement is one of the very important components that we have for the society. Now, the other aspect is whether we can actually retire and have a decent, life. I focused my paper more on factual situation. I interviewed actually 3 women. The last woman that I spoke to is someone that I know and how her life turned out after retirement. So that is where I could go. But before that, I want to share the next slide with you, which says that 50% in 2023, women made 50% of the workforce, right? And 55.6% as at July 2022, and men, a large number, 82.5%. So there are more men working than women. Now, one of the reasons why the United Nations Population Fund said that there are more men working in the society compared to women is because there are lesser opportunity for women. And why is there lesser opportunity for women? What do they mean by that? It is actually paid maternity leave, paid childcare, paid healthcare, and also physical and psychological support for women, which is not available in the workplace. So women tend to leave the workplace and go out and tend to survive on their own. So this is one of the reasons. The next one is, are women set up to retire to live a decent life? Now, I am quite perplexed with the statistics that was actually published by EPF on 14th of June 2023 this year, because EPF came out with the statistics, which is contrary to what Baptiste was actually talking this morning about wage. Right? The statistics by EPF says that a single person relying on public transport only needs about 1,930 as income, while someone who's dependent on a transport, which is a car, for example, requires about 2,600, and then you have the breakdown there. I hope you can see that, where with children, without children, with 2 children, and then you have a single parent with 1 children, and a single parent with 2 children, aged couple, and a single aged person. It's quite perplexing because there are many factors which is not taken into consideration here. And I would like to go to the next slide where I think you can see this. Mr. Pakar, this is your article actually. Right. So I don't know if you will agree with me, because the survey says, or the finding by EPF says that a single person will only need 610 ringgit, 610 ringgit untuk makan. Housing, 370, but actually most of us are paying more than 370 for housing loan alone, right? And then we have healthcare, which is 30 ringgit. I don't think so. I think the minimum now is already about 70 to 110 ringgit, even to a normal clinic for flu or fever. And then we have transportation, which is 140. And then 90 ringgit for utilities. I actually did a utility calculation for a 2-room apartment. It's about 300 ringgit. So this is something that is very contradictory to the actual situation that we are living in. There is a blogger. There are some things that are missing out in this in the statistics that was taken by EPF. For example, I think Jeremiah just now spoke about upskilling and reskilling ourselves. So education is missing here. Skill enhancement is missing. Grocery is missing. Well-being is missing. Traveling, holiday, insurance is missing. And I think you can think of a lot more that is missing from this diagram. And it's like food is costing 20 ringgit per day. I think food is costing more than 20 ringgit per day. Breakfast alone is more than 10 ringgit sometimes. Right? Now interestingly there is the other thing is about parking. Transportation. Transportation, this is public transportation. Yeah, you can get an LRT ticket for a month for 50 ringgit, but we're missing out on the parking to get to the LRT station. If we live nearby the LRT station, it's okay, but if you're not, then the LRT parking alone is about 5 ringgit per day. So it comes to easily about 130 ringgit per month. So these are some factual information which is missing. Now, interestingly, there was my personal experience. I was traveling from Seremban to KL for 21 years. I started off with the bus and then moved to the train and eventually I started driving. So my cost per month is 374 ringgit, 40 cents for toll alone. And I pay 1,494 ringgit, 40 cents for petrol when I was driving. So, and majority of us, and you can see from the increased traffic jams coming into KL every morning, the majority of people working in KL are actually living in the outskirts. And the reason is because of the inavailability of affordable housing in KL. Right? So a lot of these things are not taken into consideration. Now there is a blogger, and interestingly a blogger called Chloe Chan, who published her finding for cost of living in KL and some of the states in KL on the 17th of April this year. And she has said survey shows that in KL you need about 4,500 to 7,500 to survive in KL. Right? 4,500 for a single and 7,500 for a married couple with one child. And this, of course, differs from state to state. Penang, 3,500 to 6,000, and then Selangor, 3,000 to 5,000, Sabah, 2,000 to 3,500, and Sarawak, 2,000 to 3,500 per month. So these are some of the things that we actually need to take into consideration when we look at the income that we are earning as opposed to the cost of living. Now, we were talking about savings just now, and we need to start young, we need to start early to start savings. Now, AKDK did a survey in 2018, and they found that 50% of Malaysians may not be financially ready for retirement, and this is in 2018. The cost of living has not gone down since then. 1 in 5 has less than 10% savings from their monthly salary. This is in 2018. Now for retirement plan, savings and retirement plan. 2 days ago, EPF announced that only 18% of their contributors had a minimum of 1,000 a month for 20 years post-retirement. Now 1,000, I don't know if we can, I definitely cannot live on 1,000. I don't know if anyone here can actually live on 1,000 a year. Boleh? Okay, and that too, if you had 240,000 at the age of 55, right? And if you don't have that, I don't think we even qualify for 1,000 a month. And we have 71 active contributors aged 55 and below do not have enough funds in EPF at the moment. This is EPF statistics, and the number of active contributors who have 240,000 in their account has dropped from 36% in 2020 to 29% in 2022. So this is alarming, it is scary, and we are going towards an aging population that literally does not have enough money this time. Now that's not all. Look at bankruptcy. There are about, this is as of May 2023, this year, yeah, May. There are about 2,661 445 bankruptcy cases. Youth, which makes youth 66% out of it, and the majority of the bankruptcy is actually those who are above 60. So Bank Negara is giving loans up to age 70, right? So we are heading into bankruptcy. This is the situation. Every day there are 12 cases that are filed, and there are 14 petitions filed. Gender-wise, of course, women we are doing better here. We are lower in bankruptcy compared to men. And there's a reduction also from 2019 to 2023, right? Personal loan actually tops the list of bankruptcy, even for those after retirement. So this is the statistics of bankruptcy. Now this is where I want to show you the case study. This is Dila. Dila, she actually works in a financial institution. She is aged 46. Her husband is 48, but he is bedridden. And she has 2 children. One child is autistic. She receives 150 ringgit for this child from the welfare department. And her net income, take home, yeah, her net income is 3,700. She's literally a single parent, but she does not fall into this category because she has a husband. She's unable to care for her husband at home, so he is in a home and she has to pay. The husband was a sole proprietor, so he did not contribute to SOCSO, so there's literally no assistance from SOCSO. Her biggest support are her retired parents, and she literally lives on borrowed income. She's 46 now, and she constantly worries about losing her parents who are aged, and also about how she is going to manage the future. This is Dila. Then we have Nora. Okay, so we have Nora. Nora is 50, and her husband is actually a school teacher. She's got 3 children. Net household income is 5,200, which, according to Nora, is not enough. They are also living on borrowed income. They have got a loan, house in the kampung, 1 car, 1 motorbike, credit cards and personal loans. They live in KL in a 2-room apartment in Sentul. Husband drives Grab on weekends. They can't afford to retire at 60 unless the children are well off, able to take care of them. That is their hope, that the children will be able to take care of them. But they don't look at themselves retiring at age 60. Then I have Hasniza. Hasniza is a hotel manager. She's 49, husband works with DHL. She's got 3 children, household income is 4,870, living on borrowed income as well. Right. Loans, car, credit card, and personal loans. She doesn't have a house yet. She sells nasi lemak during the weekends, biscuits, and tudung online. She does part-time business. She can't afford. She doesn't even visualize. She's not even thought about retirement, and she doesn't want to depend on her children. So she wants to continue working. So the next one is this person that I've known for some time, and she actually retired from a corporation. Sorry, there's a spelling error there. She retired from a corporation and got appointed as a board of director. She's now on the board of 2 companies, multinationals. She's aged 60, husband is also a businessman, 3 children. Net household income is 20,000 a month. Reason she retired is to remain active and live the lifestyle that she wants, and the husband's, according to her desire and the husband's desire. So you see there are 3 categories here, which is B40, M40, and T20. So if you ask me a question whether women are able to retire and live a decent life, yes. I don't know where this is going off. Yes, majority in the T20 can afford to do so. Right? In the M40, I think about 40 to 60% of them retire due to family commitments, inadequate protection, like what I spoke earlier, unpaid maternity leave, sick leave, etc., or to actually look after their grandchildren because the children can't afford to have a babysitter or to have their children looked after. And they keep on earning passive incomes. They sell something on weekends, they sell online, and they keep on earning passive income. The next one is a B40. Now I mentioned that it's 20 to 30%, but actually my last check yesterday, it's actually more than that. It's actually 57% are not able to retire, unless of course their life is elevated by children who are doing better than what they are doing. And majority of them said that they are actually continuing to work even after age 60. Now, I put up some solutions, and which I think EPF should also consider. Extension of retirement age by law. This can be actually optional. You don't have to make it mandatory. Those who want to retire can choose to retire. But I think it's time that we actually extended retirement age by law to ensure that people who want to work continue to work because they need to earn a living. Interestingly, I think Puan Balkis also mentioned this. Sorry, not Puan Balkis. I think Dr. Zohair just now mentioned that the statistics of Statistics Department categorizes workers from the age of 15 to 64. Right? So I think it's about time that we increase retirement age to that. Make monthly pension mandatory. I think the withdrawals from EPF has to be controlled, and EPF, whatever funds that we have in EPF, should be made a monthly pension to the worker, to the contributor, rather than allowing a lump sum withdrawal, because that is the reality. When there is money, the need to withdraw it in lump sum is there. Now, the government has to play a role. Thus far, the government, social welfare is pathetic. It is quite bad. SOXO is another challenge for people who are aging or people who are suffering from accidents and things like that. So there has to be government support for people who are retiring. And the reason why I'm saying this is that the private sector workers' tax payment is actually used to pay civil servant pension. So this is something that the government has to look at to say that the accumulated tax should actually be beneficial to the entire population in Malaysia rather than just a group of retirees. Increase the minimum wage. If you look at the statistics that I showed, EPF statistics on the 14th of June, 1,930 is above the minimum wage. So we need to increase the minimum wage. We need to make it a living wage, taking into consideration the increasing cost of living, which is not going down, by the way, right? It has never gone down. And increase EPF contribution, employers' contribution to 19% because it's tax exempted. So I hope that this is something that Puan Balkis can actually take back, to increase it by mandatorily asking employers to pay 19%, because they actually get some tax exemption from that. So that could be something that we can look at. Now, I'm going to leave you with this to think about, right? Many jobs are without retirement age, despite the legal retirement age. For example, politicians. And politicians can earn more than one pension, right? I don't know whether majority of us are aware of it, but there are a lot of us who are aware that politicians earn more than one pension, right? And then CEOs and board of directors do not have retirement age. Lawyers, doctors, dentists, accountants do not have retirement age. Insurance agents, personal financial advisors, editors, news analysis, correspondents, and many more do not have retirement age. Why subject B40 and M40 with retirement age? Many developed nations have gone beyond retirement age. So it is time for us to think about extending the retirement age and make it optional. Those who want to retire can retire. Those who want to work should be given the opportunity to work and not be discriminated. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Karuna. Some of the things that he said made me think there's a lack of filial piety awareness among children these days. They're not giving enough or regular support to their parents, especially before they're 40. With this, now shall I throw the floor open to questions? Please address your questions to the specific speaker, and I will start with addressing my question to my favorite Tiger India. Before she answers my question, she has requested to answer Karuna's claims. Okay, my question is about this. Yesterday, the EPF announced that the mandatory withdrawal scheme will be implemented for those born in 2010 and after. This means the scheme will kick off in 2068. By then, many of us say won't be around. This is a real long-term measure. So maybe you could elaborate on some short-term measures that you are trying to implement. Thank you.
I'll answer Pakaian first now. Yeah? Okay, I think you have to look at retirement as a long-term game. It's not something that I do today in terms of policy change, and you will see the effect tomorrow. For instance, when Malaysia introduces minimum wage, right? Before 2014, we didn't have a minimum wage. So kudos to all of you here who worked on that. It's a good job. But what we see is that the younger generation is poised to meet above the 240 that EPF sets as a minimum. So most of the younger generation, if they consistently work, consistently contributed, 500,000 is not a problem for them. Actually, the numbers have shown us that. But right now, the problem is people are in and out of the workforce. They are in between jobs, they don't contribute consistently. So a lot of people are not making that contribution density, that's what we call it now, yeah? Okay, so because of that, we're seeing a better pattern for younger generation. So policies take time. You're only going to see that like 10 years down the road. You're not going to see the policy overnight. So we need to understand, we talk about retirement, it's a long-term game, and it's an generational change that you're going to see. Policies that you do today, 10, 15 years down the road, you will see some outcomes. Okay, number one, for the mandatory scheme, it will take effect in 2028. That's what our plan to do. Our plan. But we are saying that anyone who joins the workforce in 2028, which are the ones born in 2010, they are 18 years old. That's when the first batch of workers will come in. So they will sign out to a new social contract, whereby they do not have any more age 55 withdrawals. Because they are going to retire because of what you have to pay at 65. So the retirement age is no longer 60, like what we have today, and they're not signing on to this age 55 withdrawal because they never had it before, right? So that will be the contract for them. So it's not accurate to say that it will kickstart in 2017 when they turn 60 years old. So what they will get is that when they have an income drawdown, which is a portion going to be converted into monthly income, another portion will be taken as lump sum. They can still have access to lump sum. But a choice is given to them. They want to transfer into income drawdown, or they want to maintain that in EPF. We are not forcing them to take out. So they can still put it there, or they can have access to lump sum, but another portion, we will treat it as monthly income. So they will start receiving that monthly income in 2070 if they are batch 2010. But people with existing cohorts, because you're already at a certain age, you can access to that mistake lah. But if I were to ask a 45-year-old here, who's 45, they will want access to that 55, whether they will use it or not. So we're going to give them options. You can come in if you want, okay, happy. But if you don't want, it's your choice. Because it's very difficult to do changes for existing cohort without creating a lot of negativity lah. Yeah, I just want to share with you this example, and I'm not saying that equating anything or whatever. So they did a behavioral science study, right? So when we do something, we always have to look at behavioral insights, right? We have to look at research and what has happened. So there is this study whereby they look at a group of chimpanzees lah. They give them an apple, right? So the chimpanzees are happy with one apple. That's group A. Group B, they give the same another group of chimpanzees an apple. That chimpanzees are also happy. And then what they did was they give a second apple to group B. So the chimpanzees are happy they get 2 apples. But group 1 happy also because they get 1 apple. But when they took away 1 apple from all the chimpanzees in group B, they all marah, So, but group 1 is perfectly happy with 1 apple. When you give people something, taking it away is very painful. If you understand behavioral science, it's called principle of loss aversion. People hate losing over they like winning. So if I win a lottery, it has to be double the amount of the loss that I experience for me to experience the same kind of happiness. So what does that say? If I lose 100 ringgit from making a bad investment, for me to, if I get another 100 ringgit, I'm not happy, from another stock. I have to get 200 ringgit or more for me to feel okay lah, my loss is knocked off. So losing is very hard. Understanding behavioral science, we are putting in certain measures that will not make people react negatively and the whole thing fall apart. Not doing it at all for future generation is worse off than forcing the current generation to do it, and they will be pushed back and don't really benefit at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, we're going to use nudges, incentives, and other things to compel the current cohort to also want to have that much income. And that is done through education. That is done through advisory. Apart from, I just want to advertise a little bit. Social Securities Commission and Bank Negara, they established this financial education network. And from there, all the agencies, that's why you have the investment, is part of the financial education network events. And at the same time, EPF is also party to that. And we give free advisory services for your retirement, and EPF is going to venture beyond retirement to give you free advice. If you go to the banks, they may ask you to be gearing at a certain level. But if you come to EPF, we're going to ask you to use 20% savings, 35% maximum gearing, 45% your other needs. So we will be going by that. Okay, now to answer, maybe I'm sorry, I hope I answer your question. To Karina's thing, basically the EPF Belanjawan guide is minimum expenditure. If people earn 10,000, they have a choice to live better than the minimum expenditure, or they can choose to live at that minimum. Because if they choose to live at the minimum expenditure, like in the US, you have the FIRE movement, a lot of the young people, they're putting 50-80% into their future planning. That way they can retire early. So the minimum expenditure looks at a few assumptions, maybe it's not quite clear. We should hold a briefing on that. Number one, if you are a single person, we assume that you have a motorbike, and then you will depend on public infrastructure. You will be living with other people, and you have a room rental. But you can, of course, change the composition of your expenditure depending on your need. It's not like you must follow wajib, tak ada. It's to give people guidance of what they need to spend. And then what the team did was they went through the whole country. They surveyed what are the bottom 20% pricing. That means people will buy when it's on sale. So if you are earning a lot, go and buy a Gucci bag lah. But if I'm earning 1,500, I must buy a bag cap crocodile really. I cannot afford a Gucci bag. So what we're trying to say is that you have this minimum expenditure. But if I were to ask 4,000, of course I can live at 4,000. But our app, if you go to our app, it asks you two things. Do you want to look at minimum expenditure breakdown, or do you want to live by rule of thumb? By rule of thumb, it will apportion based on your income and all that. Because if you see a lower income person in Malaysia already 50% earning below 2,000. Your case studies are all rich people actually by any standard. And but household income is households different. EPF income is individual income. Yeah? There's a differentiation between household income and individual income. So here what we're trying to say is that you can live at this minimum under social participation, and the assumption is that people are living within 30-kilometer radius. You need to adjust your spending based on your own situation and circumstances. These are not cast in stone. It's all guided so that people will spend better. With most of Malaysians living at 2,000 household income or 4,000, they cannot afford, and companies cannot afford to suddenly pay 4,000. You have to have a balance. So that's why we approach, a balanced approach, taking into account employer side, union side, and employee side, and all other factors. Because if we ask for the sky and the moon, will there be any change? They will say that this is near impossible. So if you want to look at living wage, I was mentioning to you, that is just expenditure. Wage is another side, right? Income, expenditure. Different, yeah? So if you want to impute back EPF and so into the numbers will be 2004, 2003. But if you are a single income with car owner, the numbers will be 3,000. That's what we're trying to allude to a living wage. So you need to understand the methodology of what we did and all the components required for basic needs, social participation and all that. So for makan, the assumption is that you will only eat out once a week, but mostly you masak. But if you want to have a different lifestyle choices, make adjustments to the expenditure, because that expenditure is yours. These are just guides for people who do not even know to plan, don't have a monthly budget. So that's EPF answer to that. Yeah. So we are putting all those things, and for public health care, we are assuming that they go to clinic maybe once a month. And there is already clinic kesihatan and public expenditure in place for you to access. But if you don't want to, you have a choice. Adjust your expenditure befitting your lifestyle choices and your income, of course. Cannot be that.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the floor? It's Mr. Prabhuman Singh, who is the former SOXO finance boss,
Thank you very much.
who lives in New Zealand now.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It takes me back into history. The discussions that we are holding here today, if you look back at the UNDP study that was done in 1993, all these issues were still there. The planning and the movement forward has not occurred. That is the biggest issue. The issue is, why has it not occurred? We all knew, all of us knew, even at that time, and the report clearly shows the aging of the population. It is not a new phenomenon. It is not. All the unions, all the employers were looking at it. Therefore, what was the solution? The solution was a comprehensive social policy in social protection, where the institutions, as mentioned earlier on, to cover from, you know what I mean, right? I used to lecture in the institute on all these matters. The point is, the institutions run by themselves. The policy at the top is not there. Somehow, when the policy is not coordinated, it will result in a lot of issues which we are now having. And these issues are going to be compounded. Do we still continue to use the savings principle to take care of a social policy, where in most countries, provident funds have already gone off? The example that latest that they're using is the one in India. They decided almost 15 years ago to transform exactly what I've heard now that EPF wants to do. And the transformation itself is going to take time. So all issues are known. They are there, they are the realities. Let us not argue and put forward that we are able to get things done. So with whatever institutions are in place, we need to get out of the box. Get out of the box to see that because of changes that are coming, and there are major changes, especially in the next 5 to 10 years. We have moved away, and the economy has moved away, and it is becoming a creative economy. In future, IT is going to lead us into all areas. The world of work has changed. And if this has changed, people have changed, their minds have changed, their needs have changed. Have we changed our institutions and our formulations so that in the next 15 years from now, we won't be talking about this. We will be saying, oh, we have managed to get at least 30% of our population who has aged living more comfortably. And after that, in the next 20 years, we will be saying, oh, now 50, 70% is more comfortable. We can never reach 100%, but when we reach 70%, 80%, it becomes a very wonderful country. Taking examples from other developed nations, sorry, I have worked with all countries. They started their development years before we did anything. Years before. And what we should have done years before, we have talked about it but have not done it. So my only request is, it's a wonderful forum, great work, good institutions that we have in place. Now let us all put our minds together and say we can't do anything much, because social policy takes at least 10 to 15 years before you get any results. Okay? So let's put our minds together. Give the government policies by which they will be able to move forward, so that in the next 10 years we have something that we achieve. That's my little comment.
Thank you, Mr. Government. Anyone wants to address the whole issue?
Thank you, sir. Clearly, with all the experience you had, I think it's spot on. So, no real response to it. I just want to kind of, help them with a little bit of discussion here. I think the question before us is, are we able to live after retirement in a decent manner with dignity? We used a lot of EPF data because it was there, it was available. But EPF alone is not the answer. Because if you really think about it, EPF is a derivative of so many other factors, which is, big one, the wage levels in the country. Do we have enough of the population earning a decent income or decent wage? Right? I think we know what the answer is. What has prevented that from happening? What has caused wage depression? So these are things that I think needs to be addressed as we get into the whole matter of, I think, what is being suggested in terms of an overall framework for social protection. There's nothing to respond to. I'm just kind of complimenting what was said earlier. Thank you.
Actually, I just want to add on to what Anthony has said. Mr. Bhagwan, thank you very much. I think SPCOM needs to work with you on this so that we can actually take up more policy changes and work with the government on this. The other thing I wanted to just add on is to Puan Balkis. I understand, Puan, that where you're coming from in explaining the budget that you had actually indicated. However, I wanted to say is that whatever that you can put up for 1930 or 26 is not a reality even in the outskirts. Right? It's not a reality even in the outskirts. So it's difficult because when this was put up, there were many questions that was raised with us. And fortunately, we decided decided that this forum is going to be held. So we thought, we will address it here and have a discussion moving forward. I must say that I must congratulate DPM because you have brought up many eye-opening statements and statistics. It's just that when he came up with this Lanjawan coup, this is where a lot of people started raising questions because it is not a reality. There are no one able to live on such a budget. So that is a reason that actually we raised it up. Just to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more? Are there any more questions? To introduce yourself, please.
Salam sejahtera, saya Budi Rosli. Soalan saya kepada Puan Martin. Tadi pagi ketika perjalanan ke sini saya dengar radio yang mengatakan beberapa wang simpanan kerja KWSP cadang untuk membuka akaun 3 bagi membolehkan caruman dikeluarkan secara fleksibel bagi apa-apa tujuan. Ia dilaksanakan dalam tempoh 2 tahun bagi pencarum baru. Untuk jelaskan lagi, ini saya Google lah tempat saya dengar tu, jadi saya Google tadi. Ketua Pegawai Strategi KWSP Nur Hisham Husin berkata, cadangan baru ini bertujuan membantu pencarum terutama yang bekerja dalam sektor tidak formal untuk menampung keperluan kecemasan masing-masing. Jadi dengan tindakan ini, adakah ia akan mendorong kepada kemiskinan pekerja apabila bersalah? Itu soalan saya.
Terima kasih atas soalan itu. Okey, sebenarnya mungkin kalau saya boleh tekankan lagi Amalina, it's okay if we can show the slides about the EPF account breakdown. So today, account breakdown EPF adalah pada dua. 70% adalah untuk persaraan dan 30% adalah untuk apa-apa tujuan untuk membina masa hadapan yang lebih baik. Contohnya, semua orang nak kena ada rumah lah. Kalau kita nak menyewa boleh, tapi bila kita sewa, tak semestinya kita tak dihalau keluar oleh tuan punya rumah ya. In countries like Switzerland, they have a long-term lease, 20 to 30 years. So you can somewhat guarantee that. But in our country, the landlord has a choice to actually ask you to leave it out. If you don't have your own shelter, it's going to be a problem. So in your shelter, we also work with Cagamas today that can be converted into income. It's a product called reverse mortgage. So if you have a house, you dah tak ada income lagi masa tua, you boleh ambil rumah tu, you cakap, saya nak income bulanan dan you boleh tinggal di situ sehingga meninggal dunia. Itu ada satu produk yang we have worked with Cagamas as well. So what we like to say is that when we look at basic savings calculation, kami tidak pernah melihat account 2 sebagai contributing kepada adequacy. So the numbers that you see 240 is solely from account 1 because by the age of 50, most people will withdraw everything in account 2. No point in me looking at account 2. So account 2 is also available for you to buy a house, education, do Hajj, purchase critical and life insurance, as well as, I think that's about it, education, pay for your education and healthcare, reimbursements and all that. So you will utilize that. So I cannot use an unstable income to say that that's contributing to your retirement. So when we look at account restructuring, we call it account restructuring, dia tidak hanya mengganggu portion account 2, dia tidak kacau account 1 dan 2. So adequacy tidak akan berubah sama sekali dengan pengenalan account 3 tadi. Sebab account 2 memang dia dah pakai habis, most people dah tak ada duit dalam tu. So tidak mengganggu sama sekali dan dia tidak terpakai kepada orang baru saja. Saya mungkin terpaksa betulkan statement tadi. Ini adalah satu benda baru yang terpakai kepada semua orang. Policies need to be inclusive, but the choice to take it up is yours. I may want to, I have opportunity to withdraw for housing, but bapa I orang kaya, I tak perlu pun bapa I dah pakai rumah, contoh. So but for Haruna, she may need to access it. So that's why I cannot discriminate between what is available for Haruna and what is available for Bakaran, for instance. So we are going to allow the flexible account for everybody. New inflow masuk, it's up to you to use it. If you nak beli rumah, ada account 2, nak campur account ketiga boleh. Kalau you tak nak pakai pun boleh. Kalau you rasa nak transfer account 3 kepada account 1 ke account 2, boleh. The choice is yours, but not everybody needs that emergency. Some people do. In a country where wages are somewhat challenging for most people, it's difficult for households to save or invest. We cannot force households when they're struggling to live for the day. So this account 3 is meant to be like a side account, which they are now experimenting in the UK as well, to give some portion that doesn't affect your retirement well-being at all, your retirement adequacy, the way that EPF is calculating it. So that it gives people some leeway if they have that access. That will also stop further withdrawals from unprecedented EPF withdrawals sekali keluar Aizina lah, Citra lah. We don't want that anymore. That account 3 is yours, your own to manage. Manage it well. If you need it, use it. If you don't, push it into other account. We're not denying you that. And everybody has that account. Right now, one of the reasons why the informal sector self-employed do not want to have EPF, they feel that everything is locked up. But we give people a leeway to take that small proportion for them to use in terms of need. And that will encourage more self-employed sector to have an EPF account. But everybody have the same standard. So it's not like we're going to have it for just orang baru ataupun orang informal. Saya clarifikan that. Itu saya harap saya jawab soalan.
Well, the question is it going to be, do they have to give a reason to withdraw the 10%? Any particular reason? COVID or no reason?
Tak ada reason. Now we're flexible account. Up to you. We trust you. You know what to do with your money and you know what you need and what you want. Right? So we no question asked. But that is a small proportion from account 2. We're not taking anything from account 1, which is the whole premise of your retirement income. I hope that's clear.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Michael here. I've just got a question to the Anthony. In your presentation, I fully support in your slide under counterpoint number 1 and counterpoint number 2. My question is, this issue is toxic thoughts of employers, government officials, and also certain trade unions and political parties, where the most common issues when you are speaking as far as extension of retirement, they say that youth is denied employment opportunities, which I mentioned. My question is, how do you erase this toxic mindset from this certain group of people? Thank you.
Thanks, Brother Michael. So, a couple of points. I think one is clearly by persuasion and education, and that's part of the reason why we're having a forum like this. But more importantly, I think the government has to play an active role where they will have to start thinking about regulating and legislating things. Because if you just leave it to employers or businesses to voluntarily do things, we all know it's not going to happen. So I think the onus lies on governments having the political will to do so. Thank you.
Sorry, is there any more? Are there any more questions? Yeah.
Nama saya Samizan dari ABB. Saya nak tanya, adakah adakah EPF support extension of retirement age? Dan kepada saudara Emil, kalau youth nak invest, apa jumlah minimum dan invest
Hello, okay, terima kasih. Kalau you nak invest, pada saya, cerita saya sendiri, saya akan invest dalam ASD sebagai Bumi Putra. I will try to max it out all the way to 250,000 ringgit. Recently, the government has increased the limit. That's very good. And I'm looking to max out some more. And on top of that, I've also applied for every single amanah saham account that you can think of. So for me, those are the savings trust that you have to just max out, because it's there, it's available, it's backed up by the government, and they give good returns compared to, say, fixed deposits and so forth. If you want to look at trading in higher risk investment assets, you can do that. But I would suggest jangan pakai duit sebenar dulu. Dia ada banyak software kan. Contohnya macam dekat TradingView, search tradingview.com, there's babybits.com. You boleh pergi sana, belajar macam mana nak invest, pakai duit kertas, paper trading they call it, right? But you need to understand that these are high risk. So before you even tekan hutang untuk beli atau jual saham atau beli atau jual futures contract, you kena betul-betul belajar, betul-betul understand. And most importantly, as my experience as a trader is that don't believe everything that you read. Okay, for most people, investing in securities and high investment risk assets, it's gambling for them. 96% of people lose money. Okay, but the other 4% that makes money, they make a lot of money that is beyond your comprehension actually. So, but it takes time. Okay, it takes time, it takes discipline, and it takes a high level of commitment for you to achieve that sort of skill in investing. I hope I answered your questions.
Thank you. Hold on, please. Sorry. Do we have for Balkis answering one question?
Sorry, on supporting the extension of language, I think you saw the picture just now. Deferring by a few years, that means you work longer, is an option. Apart from deferring your withdrawals, if you work a few years longer, you will accumulate more income. But like my personal view, we shouldn't increase block. Well, of course, Anthony's suggestion is great, but we shouldn't increase block 5 years. A gradual increase 1 year, like other countries, how they do it. One way to do it is to link life expectancy to retirement years. Yeah? So what we do is like today we have 15 years gap between retirement age and life expectancy, which is 75, tolak 60 is 15 years. Assuming you want to maintain 15 years, bila life expectancy jadi 76, you naikkan jadi 61. Bila life expectancy jadi 80, tolak 15, jadi 65. But you have to have a cut-off. So we can link life expectancy. This is what Germany is doing, and many other countries are doing as well. Yeah, so I think putting a block base may actually cause some disruptions as well for businesses in terms of managing their people. So I think whatever approach we do, we must always be balanced and approach it in a way that we can have a mutually benefit between employers and employees. One that is mutually benefiting. That's my point of view. Thank you.
Wait, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mego. I am from CNB Bank Executive. My subject matter is to fix the problem. We have heard all of our issues. We knew the issue long time ago. That's what I said. We knew aging population, Japan has, even our neighbor country, Singapore, has even started long time ago. And EPS, we know, we have all the statistics. We have everything. We knew the problem long time ago. How we want to fix the problem? We have a system problem. The system problem is the main problem. To fix the problem, the system problem must move, and everybody can. Every of the groups can work together and we can fix it. If the system problem is not fixed, we are more interested in the last 5-10 years, politicize, politics, nothing on fixing the system. We have all the problems, the issues we know long time ago, but we are now bringing up all the issues, but we are not fixing the problem. How do you want to fix the problem? The system is in place, everything will fall in place. The system is not big. You're talking about EPF, account 1, account 2, account 3. Account 3 was, it died by itself. And it came back again. As even account 2, We have one criteria to be eligible, two criteria, add on until 16 criteria to be eligible to withdraw. Then we have the moratorium. And you can take, earlier we can take on account two. We finish account two because 16 criteria where we can take out everything. Then we don't have in account two. Then we take from account one. Then we tell, no, how to fix this problem? Then we have the banks to do the monitoring. Then we just defer payment only. Then we intend to increase the aging, retirement age so that 1 or 2 years we manage to settle the loan, whatever we defer because of moratorium. But we are happy with the bank. If you don't have moratorium, the bank has to make provision, the bank has to have a financial crisis in Malaysia after COVID-19. So we have to suggest on moratorium to help the bank. But in whose expense? The workers' expense, their own money expense. And then the government politicizes. This is all system problem. How do you fix this problem? We can talk day after day, we will never fix the problem. If the system doesn't change, nothing will solve this problem. Stating whether it's 62, 65, it's all system problem. We connected, whether healthcare, same thing. So, in short, system problem. Unless we fix the efficient problem, the last 10 years, nothing is moved. In this year, SPCAM has come up with some of this awareness. As Mr. Anthony was telling that what the government should do. No, the workers, the labor force, are not strong enough to tell them there is something wrong in the system. You got to set it right. The labor force is not moving as what of the last 10 years in Malaysia. That's how they do their wings and fences. They take their time. We know the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think you're talking of a serious lack of political will here. That's our problem. That's what you just said. We have had 4 governments in 5 years, but nothing has changed. And I think it's time to form a Labour Party.
I just want to say something. I think it's true. Change is very hard, and sometimes the most meaningful thing to do are always the most difficult. So it requires all of us to work together. But I just want to say this: based on research, for anything to happen, you need 20%. So having this forum is good because we're trying to mainstream this. But if you bring this topic outside this room, it's not going to be understood by the day-to-day people who are actually trying to fight to live on a daily basis. So this is about higher order discussion, otherwise. So, but we need to mainstream this. Having education, having national dialogue, and more frequent sessions will help to bring these issues to the fore. Once you get 20%, you can create a movement. This is already proven in many jurisdictions, and all revolutions happen because of this. In Europe, why they had these social democracy issues, that was because collective bargaining was happening and manufacturing was stopped in the 1930s, like the Great Depression era. This war in Europe, it was the most violent region in the world at that time. They decided that they need to do something differently. So the time is now for Malaysia. COVID just happened. It has destroyed so many things, but it also brought so many opportunities. Before that, nobody talks about social protection and they call it welfare, people taking handout. This is a human right, like Mr. Solomon mentioned. You shouldn't even look down at people getting this right because they are living below the standard of living established for a decent life. So we need to create this movement together, and we cannot keep blaming whoever because this is about us. Let's create this movement together. That's my message. And we are beginning to mainstream this, okay? Because before this, nobody really bring these issues to the fore. Thank you.
Any more questions? Yeah, please.
Assalamualaikum, saya Bidang Salam Sejahtera. Ini tanya saya sebagai perwakilan IB lah, dan saya pun sebagai pekerja. Saya rasa saya nak bicarakan sebagai pekerja, sebagai saya pekerja, saya rasa boleh tak APF bekerjasama dengan SPCAM dan unions untuk beri kesedaran kepada pekerja. Salah satu contoh saya pun ada soalan. Macam air sayang tu berapa peratus yang Islam? Itu saja Ustaz. Terima kasih.
Okey, air sayang kita benarkan buat masa ni 2% daripada 24% yang didapatkan ataupun 2% dari 23%. Tapi kita ambil sebenarnya portion husband yang employee 2% daripada 11, sama je 2% daripada 24 ataupun 2% daripada total gaji sesing, right? So you akan ambil itu, ya. So kita akan bagi sebab itu kau sama dia sini kahwin 4, 8, kalau tinggal 3 je portion dia okey lah tu tinggal 2%, siapa suka jadi banyak nak haskan. So employer contribute lah 90%. Tapi kami kat Karuna suggestion which is saying that sebenarnya PPF contribution adalah top 10 in the world dah paling tinggi. Putting extra burden on employers can also not be the solution. The solution is in the wages. Kalau gaji saya 1,000, 11% dari 1,000, 110. Kalau gaji saya 2,000, 11% daripada 2,000 dah 220. It will correct itself with wages. It's more important because of take home pay. You bagi yang dekat situ dia tak dapat pun. Lepas tu dia tak nak bayar gaji tinggi. Dia tak perlu bayar kat sana, tak nak bayar, tak nak lah macam tu. I rasa wages is the way to go because wages solve today and tomorrow. Kalau bagi employer portion je, they may not solve your today but they think for your tomorrow. So it's got to be balanced lah, you know. Because if we suggest something that is so out of this world, people say that that's so impractical, cannot do. There's no change at all. Changes have to come gradually. Let's make something palatable. That's my ask for all of us. Thank you.
Boleh kerjasama tadi. We would love to work with SP Camp on this, and we have a team that goes on outreach program to educate people on financial adequacy, investment adequacy, and all that. And we would love to do it because we need that. Malaysia's financial literacy is
36%. 1 in 3 people are financially literate. Vis-a-vis for developed countries, 70% financial literacy. We need to do this, and we're starting to work with GLCs actually to educate people. We will do this with SP Camp. Thanks.
One last question before is for me to Dr. Zuran. Your point about 60,000 fewer people under 5. So how is this trend going to move from now? You think it's going to keep on reducing or it's going to change?
Thank you, sir. I thought I can escape. But the trend that I mentioned earlier, pasal budak budak 60,000 budak, is just an early indication of what's coming. Sebab kalau kita lihat pada negara lain, dia punya overall trend untuk penduduk dia tu dah kurang. Kita overall masih lagi positif, masih lagi meningkat, semuanya rendah lah, sekitar 1%, 1%, tapi rendah. And it's only about time yang population kita secara keseluruhan akan menurun. So trend yang saya mention tadi, untuk yang under 5 years old, that is the early sign that what is coming. Sebab macam saya katakan tadi, orang tua makin ramai, kelahiran pun makin rendah. Dan saya kira kalau contoh kalau kita lihat di China ataupun di Jepun pun, dia cuba nak incentivize keluarga tu ada lebih ramai anak, to have more kids, to encourage families to have more kids. Many of incentives lah, they even putting child care or not. And yet again the take-up is not so much. So and of course it's because of many other factors. For example, because of living factors, low wages factors. And I like what Raji's point is that everything is in the wages actually. So even if you force the employers to give more contribution, for example, if they, let's say for example, if they did contribute more, so what? The level of wages is low. So the fundamental problem is not solved. And I would like to add, I think from one as I mentioned pasal apa nama system. I like that, because kita dah banyak recommendation. There's too many recommendation. EPF for sure know what should be done in this country, especially for the retirement. We are doing a very good job of growing our money, and yet I think I will mention this point. Our policy makers, not civil servant, the most powerful policy makers, politicians, member of parliament, diorang ni, kalau I don't know, I would like to have for them to have some or little of brain to think about that. Saya nak bagi tahu contoh sekarang keadaan antara EPF dengan rakyat. EPF berlalu dengan rakyat. Masa pengeluaran duit, masa COVID dulu. End up rakyat marah EPF kena defend diri dia, kata no, kena macam ni, macam ni. Sebenarnya yang membenarkan benda tu ialah politician. End up kita bergaduh sama kita. Yang lepas tangan politician. Masa COVID, saya mention ni masa dekat ada satu rancangan dekat TV di Malaysia. So bagi saya apa-apa pun is a political will, and through that then only our system can change. And of course it has to come also together dengan kita punya mesin. We have to make noise, a strong noise. And I like what I see from NUB. Tadi kalau dia buat tiket ke apa, is a very, the whole country so what's happening kat bank tu, kat masalah dia, apa dia, dinas kerja dan sebagainya. So you need something like that. Kena buat noise, make noise, the right noise lah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, what not should I say from Dr. Zuhair? Inspiring note. Let's all do what has to be done from now on. Thank you very much, and I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pasal, and all the speakers for very fruitful presentations and discussions. I kindly remain at your seat, and we will proceed on the mementos presentation to all panel speakers. I would like to call upon Brother J. Solomon to present the mementos. I would like to invite the first speaker, Mr. Anthony. Our second speaker, Dr. Zuhair Muslim. Our third speaker from KWSP, Puan Bakis. Our fourth speaker, Encik Emil Shazwan. Our fifth speaker, fifth speaker is Karuna. Our moderator, Mr. Pakaran. And we'd like to invite Tuan Sheikh Shahid for excellence keynote address. Thank you. ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have now concluded today's event. Our last event will be a photography session. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express my utmost gratitude to all the distinguished guests and members of FLOR for making this event a success. Also to thank our participants. Without them, we can't realize this program, and it has been a great day and a wonderful morning with the presence of all of you. Please allow me to read the quote by Stewart Brand, an author and innovative thinker. Please allow me to read the quote by Stewart Brand, an author and innovative thinker. We can see the past, but not influence it. We can influence the future, but not see it. Let us all be guided by all the things we have learned and heard throughout the forum and be able to see and influence of our future. Tenang-tenang air di kali tempat mandian putra-putri. Sempurna sudah majlis diraih, sadarkan silap harap dimaafkan. With that, thank you and have a pleasant day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's have a photography session now.